Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to episode 58 of the X Button Gaming Podcast. In this episode, I got my homie Jimmy here back with me, and we're going to be talking about some Star Wars, because this week is the National Star Wars holiday, May the 4th. So, that's what our main topic is going to be, is about some Star Wars collecting. But before we get to that, this is a Collector's Edition episode. Actually, before we do that, James, how are you?
Hello there.
Oh, God.
Master Kenobi. No, General Kenobi. I'm good, man. I'm really happy to be here and talk some Star Wars with you, man.
It's always fun to talk Star Wars. And you're going to Star Wars night in California, right?
Yes, it is a very pro Star Wars week for us. We are going to catch an event night on Thursday night. It's like where they clear out the park, where they kick out all the normal ticket holders at Disneyland.
Get out of here.
Get out of here. We don't want you here. We want the Star Wars fans. And so they let in all these people who have a special event ticket, which we purchased. And you go in there. There's going to be a lot of cosplaying, themed merch, themed rides. I think there's going to be a themed fireworks show and spectacular.
That's cool.
It's going to be good.
So are you dressing up?
That is a good question. So I would say in a way I am. You know, I have
you're
my...
just going to be Cal Kestis because of the red hair.
I need to get my little leather vest on and my little... I don't have not BD-8. What was it?
BD-1?
BD-1. Oh, I love that droid.
He's cool.
Yeah, it is. But I will have my...
Poncho. He wears a poncho.
That is true. I wish I could have the 5 o'clock shadow from Jedi Survivor that he wears. Oh, it looks so good.
Just draw it on. Get an orange Sharpie and just start marking.
It will never look quite as good as Cal Kestis. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I tried it. I grew a whole beard in the December.
It wasn't a whole beard.
It wasn't. Well, I mean, it was by my standards. It was a whole beard. It was the best I could do. It was not Cal.
It looked better than I expected. Never having grown one before.
On a scale of 1 to Cal Kestis, it was like...
It was a 2.
It was... It was nowhere near Cal Kestis' sex appeal. So there we go. And but I will be dressed up in the way that I'm going to have my Kowakian monkey lizard from the theme park. You know, Jamacius.
Jamacius Crumb.
For those that aren't aware here, a Kowakian monkey lizard is what Salacious Crumb from Return of the Jedi is. You know, the guy that's like. That guy.
James did the voice for him. Did all the voice acting.
There you go.
Yeah,
guys.
Jabba's little pet.
Mm-hmm. That's it has a little tuft of red hair, so I feel like a kinship with that little creature.
And he laughs like that. And when Salacious Crumb laughs, we're annoyed. When James laughs, we're annoyed.
I have been accused more than once of sounding much like Salacious Crumb, and that is why I've tried to channel it in my own way.
And it's perfect.
It really is. But yeah, we're gonna have fun, dude. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Hopefully, there's some cool limited merch or something while you're there.
Well, yeah, that's one of the reasons we're going to.
Oh, so do you know that there is, or
well, there's going to be limited merch. I mean, because that's Thursday is the themed night. Saturday is so we're skipping a day, taking it like a day off on Friday just to like sleep in and just hang around SoCal, and then Saturday we go back for May the 4th, where we have like a park hopper. And yes, there's a lot of that theme stuff is going to carry over, and there's going to be. One of the reasons we're going chiefly is because Hannah has a growing collection of Been There Starbucks Star Wars mugs.
Yeah, those are cool.
They're really cool. So for those that aren't aware, there are Been There mugs. Maybe you've seen them walking into any Starbucks, right? Like you go into Seattle and you got a Been There Seattle mug with a Space Needle on it and Puget Sound. But in the Disney parks, they have created Disney mugs that have those based on planets and locales in the Star Wars universe. So Hannah has, let me see here. She sent me a picture of all her collection because she wanted me to actually share this. But yeah, she's got Coruscant, Mustafar, Navarro from Mandalorian, Naboo, Bespin, Endor, Jakku. Why are we always going back to Jakku? Octo from Last Jedi.
Yeah,
that island.
Did she send you a picture of them?
She did.
Oh, yeah. We'll post it on the Insta.
Yeah, I'll share it later. But she's got 8 in total. I think since 2019 or 2020, they've released 3 every year. And the first couple sets are actually really hard to get and extremely expensive. Especially the first set, which is, I think Hannah's got one of them. Bespin is the one she's got, but it's the Empire Strikes Back set, which includes Dagobah and Hoth.
Yeah,
and
that's
all
cool
those
stuff.
cups go for nearly $200 a
Jeez.
piece, which is crazy.
I know I really wanted the Mustafar and Naboo ones.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I wasn't in Disneyland, so didn't get them.
You should be able to. Some of them you can order online via the Disney Store too, but some of them have been exclusively in the park. So
I never even thought to look.
it's been a little tricky. It's been a
Yeah.
little tricky, honestly, and inconsistent.
That's cool, though. And it's a perfect week. I mean, obviously, it's the only week you could go and do this, I guess.
Yeah,
But
it seems. Yeah. Well, we're hoping that there's new ones. She's got her hopes out for some very specific planets. I can't remember exactly what she was looking for, but
well, I hope she finds them, and I hope
she
you
does, too.
find a lot of good things while you're there, and that
appreciate
you
that.
have a hoot.
it's gonna be great.
So I want to bring something up though. It just came to my mind when you said Seattle, which is where I live, and I didn't think about it. But a couple episodes ago, when Jaden was on, you guys talked about the Seattle Freeze,
Yes.
and I had never heard that term before.
Okay,
and
all right.
I still, I mean, haven't heard it really, other than when you guys were talking about it.
Sure.
But I talked to Jasmine about it, and she was like, "Oh yeah, that's a thing." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Apparently, I'm just out of the loop. But anyway, so this last weekend I had to go to Portland for work, and while I was there, I'm like, "What?" Me and Jasmine, whenever we're anywhere, we thrift. So we hit a bunch of thrift stores, GameStops, all this stuff, video game stores, wherever I can find. And we went. There were multiple stores we went to. The people were so rude.
Really?
Yes, I was like, there was one store, and like, I was like, what is happening here? Like so we're in line at the self checkout. It's at a Value Village. We're at the self checkout, and this lady, two people ahead of us, starts like yelling at this old lady over here, like, "Why'd you get out of line?" And she's like, "I just got confused." And then instead of saying like, "Go ahead and get back in line in front of me," she just like said, "Well, that was stupid." And then the lady's like, "Oh, she's like I said, she's older," and she starts humdrumming back. And I was like, "Go ahead and get in front of us."
Yeah.
And she says, "Okay," and she doesn't say thank you, which I was like, "Okay, whatever. She's old. This is weird." But and then that same lady who kind of yelled at the older lady, then when she was checking out, she was super rude to the cashier. And then when we get to the checkout, somebody had to come and like cancel somebody else's transaction they left on. And the person that helped us, Jasmine said, thank you. And they were like, they just looked at us and said nothing. And I was like, we're like in the Twilight Zone. Nobody is that like, I was like, I don't know. Seattle, like I've seen a lot of rude people, but I feel like at least when we go thrifting, which we do a lot,
Yeah.
people are usually pretty friendly.
Yeah.
I was like, and that store was worse than all the rest of them. But literally everywhere I went, there's one store because I tend to be overly polite.
Sure.
Where like somebody's in my way and I move in and say, "Excuse me."
Yeah. I'm the same.
And then, but there was like a couple times. One lady literally, like death stared me she was in my way and I moved and I said, "I'm sorry," and she was like, nobody can see this, but she just gave me the strongest, like, I was like, man,
How dare you?
Portland is weird. I'm like, I don't know, man.
Well, that's what's throwing me off is because I don't know for sure, but I had thought Seattle Freeze was, I mean, obviously it's applied generally to the Seattle area or Washington State, but I guess it could have carryover to Portland because the culture isn't terribly different. I mean, there's like it carries the moniker of being weird, and there's a rivalry between Portland and Seattle. Like they feel like we're kind of bougie. We feel like they're I'm not going to say we, but many Seattleites feel like Portlandians or Portlanders are a little, I don't know, below them perhaps, or strange, or
This
just
is all weird to me. I live in Tacoma.
I don't know, like there's like that subtle rivalry between the two cities. But I mean, I'm sure there's some Freezies
Some
here,
crossover.
and there's some Freezies there.
Yeah, well, apparently they all go thrifting in Portland. It was just odd. I don't know. I just thought it was fun. And Jasmine even said, she was like, and they say Seattle's bad.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. It just, I see rude people all the time.
Chris, was it on the day that the solar eclipse? Was it something like some weird cosmic Star Wars-esque thing was going on?
They were all being like, it was like the Twilight Zone. They're all getting taken over. No, there was nothing. It was raining, but that happens a lot up here. Yeah. So
that's fair. All right, that's interesting.
Anyway, I don't know. Random. I just thought about it, but
so now you're fully aware of the freeze and freezies in general.
I'm aware that it's a thing. I still haven't paid enough attention to like realize it for myself yet. But I mean, you're one. You said so.
I mean, I think I could be definitely confused as one. I don't know. I thought freezies or the Seattle freeze meant you're kind of indifferent, kind of like colder, harder to get close to, harder to warm up to. So I don't know if like being rude in a store is the same thing, but you know, I didn't make the rules on Seattle Freeze and the
I don't know.
Freezies.
So they might be pretty easy to warm up to, but not if they're shopping.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. It was just weird and a really completely pointless story, but felt like going back to that topic, I guess. All right, so now, let's go ahead and get into our one-ups and pickups.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we'll go back and forth like we always do. So start off with a simple little one. This was all Mercari pickups.
Nice.
So I tend to, there's a few things that whenever they're super cheap, I just buy. And one of them is Complete in Box Game Boy, any Game Boy game, but Game Boy Advance. And that there's probably limitations to that. Like I might not buy something that has no interest to me unless it's like $1, but generally speaking, if there's even a remote chance that I might play it, if it's a CIB, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance game, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
And then somebody listed SpongeBob SquarePants Super Sponge, which I like SpongeBob.
Yeah.
I mean, we were a little older when SpongeBob came out, but we're still young enough that we watched it. But yeah, it was $7, and you know, with shipping, I ended up being like 10. But I was like, for a Game Boy Advance game, it has a little like markups on the front and stuff. I need to try to clean it up, but the box is in good shape.
Yeah, it looks good, man.
The manual's in good shape. The game loaded up just fine, had no issues. It doesn't have the cardboard insert that keeps the cartridge steady in there.
Sure.
So I guess it's not really complete in box, but it's close. It has the 3 things that I care most about when I'm buying a game.
I just think aesthetically, the box form factor and everything, like, I just feel like these complete in box Game Boy games, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, they're to me almost the perfect visual, I don't know, collector's video game.
I agree. I obviously, in some ways, I probably have more love for like the Super Nintendo and even the 64 than I do like the Game Boy. But I have more fun collecting on the Game Boy and the whole Game Boy line.
Yeah.
But part of it is because, like you said, the form factor of the boxes, like they're just very visually appealing.
Amen. That's a cool pickup.
Yeah, I was happy with it, and it seems relatively uncommon. Like, because before I buy anything, even at $7, I still wanted to be like, okay, like how am I getting a deal on? Because I hadn't even thought about buying it before. So if it's $5 complete in box everywhere else, then I don't need to just snatch it up.
For sure.
But I couldn't find on eBay another copy that had the box. So I was like, it must be kind of uncommon, but I haven't done a lot of research. So another pickup, a PSP game. It's got stickers on the front, which is kind of annoying. But it's called Puzzle Guzzle. It's
Puzzle Guzzle.
Yeah. Complete in box. It was $1 in the clearance section of a store I went to. So I just picked that one up just because PSP game. I'll buy PSP games if they're cheap all the time, and I like puzzle games, so I'll always give one a try and see if it sticks.
All right.
And then another Mercari pickup was a Vita game, World of Final Fantasy, which I've never played this before, but it's like they're chibi characters, and you can like summon different Final Fantasy characters and stuff. I don't know too much about it. I remember when it came out, I wasn't super interested in it, but it was on Mercari for like, I think it was like $15 with free shipping. And complete in box Vita games are so hard to come by, and I'll play anything Final Fantasy. So
that's pretty cool. Day 1 edition. Wonder what that means.
It had the paperwork, or like, because the Day 1 edition apparently came with a download code for some extra stuff, which has probably been used. I haven't tried that.
Oh, sure.
It had the code, the papers in there and everything for it. So, that was cool.
That is pretty cool.
Cheap.
Are all PS Vita boxes exactly the same as this one? Like same size, same color, and everything?
Yep. They're all blue. They're all, what is this, like 4x6?
Yeah.
So pretty small. Cartridge. It's just big enough to hold the cartridge, and I mean it has plenty of room to hold other
and
stuff.
The game card.
But yeah, no, I like buying PS Vita games when I see them. It's so uncommon to see them, let alone complete. Yeah. So, but that one was an easy pickup because it was on my list of Vita games I wanted.
That's pretty cool though. 3 portable entries to different consoles, all ones that you love. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
I dig it.
And all relatively cheap.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no doubt.
All right. Why don't you tell us one of your pickups?
Excuse me. All right. So all my pickups today are video game music vinyl, friends and fam. So You might have heard a couple episodes ago that I've been taken by this new passion called record playing and collecting. And
You've
this
been
is
bitten by the bug.
I was yeah, very bitten. My pickups have slowed down, thankfully for me and my wallet, but this is one of my most recent ones. It is Tota Keke.
Oh,
music,
that's cool.
instrumental selection. So if I'll put a picture online after the fact, but this record is the KK. It is basically a greatest hits of the KK music on vinyl.
KK Slider.
KK Slider's hits, instrumental versions. So you're not going to hear KK's voice in most of these songs, but there are a couple tracks where KK does make a cameo,
Ooh, let's
thankfully.
go.
But the tracks are bangers, man. They slap. It's really cool. There's a side A and a B. Some of the hits like Drivin' and KK Cruisin', KK Bubblegum.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's definitely some tracks on here that most, if not all, Animal Crossing fans would recognize.
Driving is the one I usually had in my house.
Yeah.
On whenever in New Horizons.
Yeah. It's fitting, right? Because like in Animal Crossing, when you add music, if you can play it, and if you display it, they're literal records that can be put on the wall. Or if you're going through your music selection, what you're looking at is records, right? And that's how, at least aesthetically, it's presented. So it makes a lot of sense. The music is really good. And fun fact: did you know that KK is actually based off a real person? Like he's basically a mascot for this person right here. Tota Keke.
I did not.
Yeah. So yeah.
So this is like a musician in Japan?
Easy musician / composer that works for Nintendo that's composed music for plenty of games.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I literally had no idea.
He is revered and lauded inside among Nintendo,
Yeah.
among the company.
Well, that makes sense that they'd model a character after him then.
Yeah.
And one of the coolest characters.
Oh yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. Oh, and of the vinyl that they're part of the 1UP pickups today, this is the one that is legit. It is a licensed one, so I don't have to talk about this one in hushed tones at all.
Well, that's even cooler.
It was available exclusively through Japan, so this was not available retail in the U.S. And as you can see here, it has this kind of a Japanese trademark that you'll find when you buy records in Japan, this obi strip. Just like aesthetically is so cool.
Yeah,
you won't
and
see
it's
that
got
on
the Nintendo seal on the bottom.
It's got the Nintendo seal on the bottom. Yeah, you won't find this on records that are bought in America generally.
Yeah, no, I've never seen it before.
Obi strips
That's
are
super
exclusive
cool.
to Japanese releases when it comes to records. But yeah, really cool. I spun it once with Hannah there because I mainly got it for her.
Like you wouldn't listen to it.
I wanted it anyways. It was just convenient that she really wanted it too.
This makes it easy when you can say, this was for Hannah.
Yeah, it was a gift.
I spent this money because Hannah wanted
I let her
it to.
open it and everything, and I shout out to Ryan who actually helped me procure it. He because I almost got it. I was gun shy last Black Friday. I think I talked about it in the episode,
You did,
but there was a massive discount on this record for whatever reason. I don't know if they had overstock or something, but it was like 75% off, and it sold out immediately, and they haven't restocked since. So I think the idea is, or at least the understanding is that it's not going to be restocked anymore. So the price for this is soared greatly.
Oh, gosh.
I didn't have to pay too big a price, thankfully, because Ryan got the hookups. But
Ryan does his thing, man.
Yes, he does.
If anybody listened to that episode,
Mm-hmm.
Ryan knows his stuff when it comes to the vinyl world.
he's a very good friend and resource in this arena.
Use him. He likes it.
in this corner of the universe.
No, that's cool. And just fun fact too. We were before the episode started. This is not a fun fact. I don't know why I said that. We were joking too because it's going to sound like I'm just this wasteful person that spent all this money because I have so many more pickups than him. But we didn't have to do the math. I just told James how much I spent on all this, and he was like, "Oh yeah, no, I spent more than you."
We've already discussed what the value of some of these records can be. It can be pretty exorbitant.
Yeah, if you listen to that episode, you know.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. That'll be a fun one to listen to. That'll be a fun one during like get-togethers to put on.
Honestly, you're totally right. Yeah, like video game get-togethers,
Yeah.
board game nights, like whatever. Like it's a really chill.
And it's just a neutral enough too, where I'm like, even people who don't game and you're just having people over would probably be like, "Oh, this is cool."
Yeah, for sure. And at this point, there's so many people that aren't even gamers that have a familiarity and a love for Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, it came out at that right time where so many people. It kind of reminded me of the Wii days a little bit, where people I never expected to have a Switch had a Switch to play Animal Crossing because everybody was doing it and loved it.
Yeah.
So, no, I get it. That's a cool pickup.
Yeah. Thanks. I am excited.
So, on to my next stack. Okay, so I'll do these two first. So, while I was down in Portland, on the way back into Vancouver, there is a store in Vancouver called Double Jump Video Games. For anybody, so if you feel like you may have heard of that, it is a very popular store because they have a very popular YouTube channel. Sick Cooper is the guy who runs the channel. He has his own personal channel too. But yeah, he does videos where all the staff and stuff do videos in the store, kind of showing like the workings of a store a little bit, behind the scenes stuff. But then in his personal videos, he shows off his collection. But anyway, I'd never been to the store before. I do enjoy the videos that they post. So I was like, we're going through Vancouver on the way back. Like, I want to stop by there.
Yeah.
So it's a cool store. And I will say, too, like, the staff was super nice. Like, they're not celebrities, so to speak, because YouTubers aren't necessarily celebrities. But you can probably get that complex a little bit when you have hundreds of thousands of followers.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, yeah, they were super cool, super friendly, like just like they seem on the videos. So that was cool.
Nice.
But yeah, so since we were there, we wanted to grab a couple things. Didn't spend too much, but Jasmine's a huge Crash Bandicoot fan. And when she was a kid, I don't know which one it was she had, but one of the Crash Bandicoot games that not her, but her friend had a demo for Spyro on it, and she played the demo, loved the demo, but had never played the Spyro games. So I hadn't purchased this yet, but since we were there and it was only $13, I bought the Spyro Reignited trilogy.
Nice.
So it's all 3 games remastered on one disc. It's a cool compilation. It was rated really well, and the cool thing is I've also never really played Spyro. I played the first one a bit when I was a kid, but it's been years. I never played the other 2.
Yeah.
So that was a cool pickup. And then I also picked up Chappelle Show Volume 1. On PSP,
UMD, baby.
Because that's where I'm going to watch my entertainment.
I mean, why not? Why not?
And frankly, like, I can't recommend it to everybody because it is, it's definitely not G rated. But Chappelle Show is still, I was showing somebody a skit the other day, and I laughed just as hard now as I did 20 years ago. So Chappelle Show's so funny. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to get this. Why not?
There's some classic skits, man. Is that the one that has the Prince skits with the
Unity? So it's not the whole season. I think it's like the first half of it. So I don't know what all's on it for sure, but it should have that on it. And it will have like the racial draft and it won't have the Wayne Brady episode, which is one of my favorites.
That's too bad.
But, so there was a couple pickups from that store. Just a really cool store.
Nice.
And then these 3 were just local pickups. So obviously, about a month ago now, we did the Xbox 360 episode where we talked about games to look out for and what the most expensive games were on price charting at the time. If anybody isn't in the know and has been paying any attention, the timing of that episode was completely coincidental. But I wanted to do it because the 360 was going to be shutting down their online store, so it was kind of like assumed that prices would go up eventually. But literally the day after that, a couple of big YouTubers posted videos the day after we posted our podcast episode. This is coincidental. They did not listen to the podcast.
Did you ask them?
I don't need to. I know they didn't. But a couple of bigger YouTubers posted videos.
Too much.
Nah, I know. Posted videos about like how 360 games are popping off all of a sudden, and in doing research for the episode, I didn't catch this. But yeah, sure enough, the snowball started rolling, and all of a sudden 360 is going crazy.
Oh, goodness.
It's ridiculous. Honestly, it's ridiculous. It's not even just going a little crazy. Prices are starting to go up. Things have gone $10, $15, $20 games are over $100 now. Like, we could probably in 2 months do that episode again, and the top 10 would be completely different than they were. Some will still be on there. Like Operation Darkness was about $90 when we did the episode. It's selling for 170 plus easy right now.
What?
Yeah, so it's almost doubled in a
my
month.
Goodness,
So-
I'm really hoping the 50 cents still in that sweet spot of 75 to 80.
I mean, you might have to buy it soon.
I know.
Because I don't know, but I haven't double checked. That is one that I don't see people talking about as much.
Yeah.
And it's on both the 360 and the PS3, so it might have the benefit of it.
That does help.
Not going as crazy, but
Yeah, I really want to get that, honestly.
yeah. Even after, because at first I was like, I'll just get it on PS3, but there's no trophy support on PS3 for it. It was one of the earlier games that didn't have trophies.
Really?
PS3 didn't launch with trophy support, so some, like in the first year, some of the games don't have trophies, but it has achievements. So I was like, maybe I
You got to
can
get
it on
your
trophies.
achievements
Then if we
on.
both get it, we can play online. But anyway,
That'd be really funny.
so even just preparing for that episode, like I kind of got myself into a 360 kick a little bit.
Sure.
And
Also, you greatly underestimate your influence on influencers on YouTube. They were listening. We beat them to the punch.
Yeah.
We have timestamps to prove it.
Sorry, Pete Dorr.
You heard
Got
it here
you.
first. If you were a listener and you clicked buy it now as you were listening, you won because of us.
You were welcome. But so that did kind of make me think like, okay, I want to start picking up some of the games that I want while I can find them at a deal still. And a few of these I bought that week, like before we recorded, but obviously they didn't come then.
Sure.
And the rest of these I found in the wild because eBay is not the place to buy anything right now, 360 related. But anyway, so these three were all local pickups. I got Viva Pinata Party Animals.
Nice.
Got it at a Goodwill. It was $4 and it was 50% off, so it was $2.
There we go.
So it is the Viva Pinata series was an Xbox series, and this specific one is a party game. I haven't played it yet, but I like a good party game, so it's always nice to have more options for like when people come over, something you can do that maybe mixes it up a little bit. I don't know. Reviews for it seemed like they're just okay, but I don't know, $2 I ain't passing on it.
Very nice.
And then these two I got at Half Price Books at two separate times. One is Too Human. This was $5. So this game was made by the team Silicon Knights, which they were best known for doing two games: Eternal Darkness on the GameCube,
Sure.
which is extremely highly revered.
Yep.
And then they did the GameCube port of Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes,
Which is also
highly revered.
Yes.
So when this game was coming out, people were like
Hype.
stoked for this. The hype was high.
yeah.
But apparently the game sucked. And got really bad reviews. People hated it. But I figured for $5, it's an Xbox 360 exclusive. Like I think it might be on PC, but it's an interesting looking game. It's definitely based off of like the concept of like Greek mythology because like the characters are Heimdall, Thor, Odin, Freya, like all Greek mythology characters. But it's very like it has a super futuristic look to it.
Sure.
But anyway, for $5,
I remember hearing about Too Human back in the day. I just never played it.
yeah. I intend to play it and see if it's as bad as everybody
As
says.
they all say.
I'm sure it probably is, but it's too bad because that team really had a lot of potential. When you look at the two games they were most well known for, I don't know if they pushed this out too quick or they just got in over their heads, but this did put them out of business. So
Oh, that's sad.
yeah, so that was too bad. But the other one I got was also at Half Price Books, and this one is one that started going up as well. But I got it for $10, and it's over 20 now, which isn't like a huge thing, but
Yeah.
I'd wanted it. So it's a triple pack that has Limbo, Trials HD, and Splosion Man on it, and I've always wanted to play Splosion Man. Which I've played Limbo before, and Limbo's great, but having it on a physical of it on another console doesn't hurt.
Isn't Limbo the predecessor to
Inside?
Inside? Oh, such a good
Yeah,
game.
Limbo is fun,
I
or
never played Limbo though.
good. You should play it. You'd like it if you liked
Obviously,
Inside.
if I liked Inside, yeah.
But Splosion Man I always thought looked really cool. It's a platformer where I believe the premise is you use like your body to blow up and like get past obstacles and stuff. But it was always an Xbox arcade exclusive, so I was never able to play it because I didn't have an Xbox until much more recently. But yeah. For $10, those three games,
Nice.
I was like, I'll pick that up. It's a good snatch.
I definitely have an appreciation for the multi-pack games. Especially, even if there's just one you're only interested in, you got another option to
Yep.
play. So it's kind of cool.
Agreed. For $10 when they're all on the disc, with the store shutting down too, if any of those haven't made it onto like the Xbox store now or the current ones, then you just have a way to play them still.
Nice.
All right, James, what's next for you?
All right, next up, the next record we're going to talk about is this one right here. Bang, bang, bang. The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Ballad of the Champions. Take a look at this. It is gorgeous.
You guys talked about this one, didn't you?
It's got a nice texture too. Well, I think on our top 10 value list, there was one of the top 10 was this, but like a variant.
Oh, gotcha.
This has nowhere near the value
this
of
is
that.
so cool.
Isn't that beautiful? It's got like it's just got for anyone not looking, the jacket, the record jacket has like this, I don't know what you call it, but has like a texture where it's like little designs, Zelda themed, are etched into the surface of the jacket. This music is this record is one of 4 or 5 maybe different Breath of the Wild records, which are considered mandatory to complete the collection. They're all very sought after, and to varying degrees, they're all pretty rare. This is probably somewhere in the middle. There's one called Reveries of Hearth and Home that like is on everyone's list they want to get. Everyone has an ISO out for it in search of, including me, and sometimes that thing can go for crazy amounts. And I don't have any expectation of getting it, but I was able to pick up this one. So we talked about one of the communities, the main community is on Facebook, right? And I had obtained an extra copy of Super Mario World, kind of the standard version, because I have a variant that we shared in the last episode. I wanted one to listen to at first just to see what I thought of it, and it was great. But when I saw that this was available for trade on, I think it was a Wednesday in the morning, that someone put out a trade post, and everyone just starts posting, this is what I'm in search of, this is what I have willing to trade. And so I sent it out as soon as I saw that he was offering this, and he was looking for Super Mario World. And so we got it, we DM'd each other, and this came in the mail. It has some, as I said, it's called Ballad of the Champions. So I think this is based off, I think a lot of this music is based off the soundtrack from the DLC. I think Ballad of the Champions was that one of the DLCs for Breath of the Wild? I'm pretty sure it was.
Sounds right, but
if
I
it
never
isn't,
played the DLC.
If it isn't, I'm bad. I'm sorry, Zelda fans. However, some of the tracks included on here include Link's Ballad, Champion Mipha's Ballad, Champion Rivali's Ballad, Champion Daruk's Ballad, Champion Urbosa's Ballad, the Champion's Ballad, Cass's Medley, one we all know and love, Trial of the Sword, Praise of the Deku Tree, Monk Ma's Koshia Battle, The Forgotten Memory, Princess Zelda and the Champions, and then the Champions Medley. There's some different concert versions of these tracks too, but I didn't expect to like this as much as I did. Like, it was so relaxing and beautiful, and it was in good shape. So there was almost very little crackles and pops. It was just in really good shape.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, like hearing this, I had no intention of going for the other Breath of the Wild records, and then I listened to this, and I was like, oh no, here we go. Like, and now I'm going to be searching for these other ones that are impossible to find. And so yeah, now I have an ISO out for that one other Breath of the Wild record I just talked about. But what's nice about that one is it's especially rare, so the odds of me finding it at a price I'm willing to pay are really, really low. So it acts as a protectant in that if I don't get it, I don't spend any money on records. So
that's one way to look at it.
That's one way to look at it. But I am very, very glad to have one piece of the Breath of the Wild soundtrack on vinyl. It is gorgeous, visibly and audibly to the ears.
Yeah,
and
dude, it is definitely a beautiful. That art is something else.
And all I can say is anybody who thinks Breath of the Wild doesn't have a good soundtrack, you are a fool. Listen again, fool. Anyways,
so
really excited to have that.
No, that's super cool. I mean, I remember, I think Ryan kind of detailed what the cover looked like a little bit, but yeah, there's no way to do it justice verbally, so we'll have to post a picture of that for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe a video would help, like trying to get like a look of it on a video that I can post.
Maybe I could play one of the, maybe I could spin it and catch a video and they could listen a little bit. That'd be kind of fun.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
That'd
be pretty neat.
Yeah.
No, that's cool, dude. That's a cool pickup.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, another stack. I swear I did go a little bit crazy. So we've been really busy on the weekends with my second job I've been working, and that has us going all over the state. So it's super easy to hit Goodwills and video game stores and GameStops and stuff.
Yeah.
This stack, so GameStop was doing buy two get one free, so I went a little nuts. This one wasn't part of a buy two get one free, but I'll just go through these kind of quick.
Nice.
I got a couple different sets. So at one store I got more 360 games. I got Burnout Revenge.
Nice.
Which Jaden was talking about on the 360 episode, and I love Burnout, so I was like, why not get probably the best version of it with the HD graphics and everything. And I actually have been playing it some too. It's just, they're so fun. They're such mindless fun. Like, sometimes that's just perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
I also picked up Guitar Hero 2, which I don't have a guitar for Xbox right now, but I want to get one. And the main reason I got this is because the only other console it was on was PS2. And like this version had songs that weren't on the PS2 version.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was like,
Or were there any tracks that were exclusive to the PS2 version?
I don't think so.
Wow.
I think this version has all the PS2 songs and then the some extra songs because it came out later. It didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't launch at the same time.
That's pretty sweet, man.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool. And I was like, you know, why not have it? Because if I can never find a guitar, like, I wouldn't mind playing through this again.
Yeah.
And frankly, I probably wouldn't what am I trying to say? Take out a PS2 and pull out a guitar and do all that way when I'd rather have my 360 is always hooked up.
Yeah.
So this is just easy.
Yeah.
And then part of that same buy two, get one free, I also got Star Wars Lethal Alliance for the DS.
Nice.
Not anytime. When I find a complete DS game that I even remotely want, I pick it up. And I don't know too much about this game. It's not canon at all, obviously. And I know part of the story was you play as this Twi'lek girl with her little robot, and you're trying to steal the Death Star plans. Like they were one of the characters that apparently did that. So now Rogue One is completely said that she doesn't exist.
Say, she didn't get the memo that they're already stolen the plan. She's still on her own mission to steal the plans.
Where are they at? The Death Star is gone. What do you mean?
But the cover is definitely a Twi'lek character.
Yeah, so
running from the pursuit of some stormtroopers.
This was just a handheld game. It was just on the DS and on the PSP. And from what I understand, the PSP version's a lot better. Because the PSP just ran things slightly smoother it was easier to optimize games for the PSP than the DS when you tried to make the same game for both.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they did. But don't quote me on that because I haven't played it.
How interesting. I had no idea this had ever been released.
Yeah.
Lethal Alliance.
Probably 2006, 2007. Because I was at GameStop when it came out. But yeah, I never played it.
Yeah.
Cool. So that was one stack of buy two, get one free. And another stack, at another GameStop, I found Infinite Undiscovery for the 360, which is one of the RPGs I've been looking for. It was only
like
$10.
That cover. It looks
yeah,
nice.
Dude, this cover is super pretty. That like foil look to it.
Me likey.
So yeah, this is a game I don't know a ton about, but it's a Square Enix published RPG. I'd always been interested in playing it, but you know, I never had a 360, so I'm trying to get. I'll talk about this a little bit more, but that's kind of my main 360 goals. I want to get the RPGs and exclusives that I want to play. So this was one I really wanted. I actually had it in my cart on Mercari, a copy for $20 because that's kind of the average going rate.
Yeah.
But I hadn't pulled the trigger on it, and then I walked into a GameStop and saw it on the shelf for $10. I was like, "Yep,
that's mine."
Yoink! And it's like it's literally pristine too. Like this,
it looks really good.
An extremely clean copy. Both discs are clean. The manual has almost no crinkles in it. It's just super clean.
That's very nice.
And then I also got this. I already had this. So it's just a condition upgrade.
Oh, okay.
So it's Batman Arkham City, the Armored Edition for the Wii U.
Excellent game.
Yeah, the copy I had was the original cover art, but in a black case it didn't have like any of the inserts, the manual or anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is one I should do a condition upgrade for, and it's in good shape too.
It's the very first game I knocked out on Wii U to completion, and one of very few that I actually did that on. So
yeah, you bought it on launch or like right after. GameStop had a sale. I remember going with you on Black Friday. Yeah, and you bought it at GameStop, so maybe it was just after launch.
Yeah, I love that game. It's so good.
Yeah, I've never actually played it, so I need to.
Dude, you'd like it.
I haven't played any of the Batman games.
I feel like a lot of the Insomniac Spider-Man's got inspiration from the Rocksteady. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Rocksteady.
Right.
The Rocksteady Batman games. There's definitely a lot of the same kind of I don't know, the combat is similar. I'd say there's more fun puzzles though, and there's more like going into buildings and exploration, I would say.
Yeah.
Interior exploration and underground exploration than in something like Spider-Man.
Yeah. I mean, I've always heard I would like these games, and I feel like I would. And I did do a beta test of one of them too for WB Games. And I enjoyed it, and it was Origins, which is considered the worst of them. Mm-hmm. So I'd have to like this.
You definitely like it, dude. Isn't there a collection of those that was released recently?
I think so.
I don't know how good it is, but
I kind of want to play this version though, because I know the Wii U one had some some unique features.
Well, you know, it'd be good for your Wii U anyways. They say if you don't turn it on every once in a while, it's going to die eventually.
Yeah. And I haven't turned it on in a while, so it needs to be.
Might be about time.
Then lastly, I truly don't know a ton about this game, but I needed a third game. So it's Soul Calibur Legends for the Wii.
Oh, nice.
But it's not a fighting game. It's like an action game.
Oh, weird.
So it was an earlier Wii title, and yeah, I don't know. I really don't know a lot about it, but for $7, I mean, that was my free one, but these games were 10, 10, and 7. So I just needed a third, and that was the only game I had any interest in. So
yeah, I thought all the Soul Calibur entries were fighters, but this is not that. Very interesting.
Yeah, so it's something to play on my Wii at some point.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool. Why not? I like the buy two get one free, but the big thing is a lot of times it's hard to find 3 games.
Yeah.
Though if I find 2 that I'm sure about, usually I'll end up just picking up something in that price range since it's free.
Yeah.
Oh, and then last GameStop pickup, I put off to the side and then forgot. This wasn't part of the buy two get one free, but it's Dynasty Warriors 4. Nope, Dynasty Warriors 9 for the PlayStation 4. But specifically, I bought this because it's the PlayStation Hits version. And that might seem weird because you might think, who buys specifically the greatest hits version of a game? Mm-hmm. Well, there's a YouTuber I watch called Mr. Rightway. He collects the greatest hits versions of everything. He wants to do full sets of all the greatest hits for all the PlayStation consoles and Xbox consoles and everything. Mm-hmm. So he finished the PS4 PlayStation hit set, and he noted the 3 rarest games that he almost never sees, took him forever to find, and that are worth way more money than they usually go for because people don't know. And this was one of the 3.
Really?
This PlayStation Hits variant.
Cool.
I'd heard that there, and then somebody on the Bird Dog Gaming Discord, Tyler, posted it too, and then that kind of put it, when he mentioned it on his YouTube channel, Mr. Rightway, I kind of tried to lock it away, but mainly just focused on the fact that Dragon Ball Xenoverse was one of the 3 rarest, and I would like to get that.
Yeah.
But then when Tyler mentioned it in the Discord, that locked it into my brain that I need to make sure to remember to keep an eye out for it. And yeah, lo and behold, it was just sitting on a shelf at a GameStop for $15.
Sweet.
So
yeah, and you're a fan of Dynasty Warriors anyways, so
I enjoy them.
Seems like a decent pickup.
They're fun 2-player games.
Yeah.
So yeah, not a bad pickup at all. And I was telling Jasmine after I bought it too, like, I have a lot of games, and I even have a lot of expensive games, but I would not say I have a lot of rare items. A lot of uncommon, but I would not say I have a lot of actually rare.
Sure.
And like we've talked about before, when something's actually rare, it means that at any given time you go on to eBay or something and maybe you see 1 or 2 copies.
Yeah.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. And like going on eBay, when I found this just to see, like, there's none on eBay.
Interesting.
So like I do feel like this is one of my few actually rare items now. Then it could be at some point somebody finds a box of them, a pallet of them, and all of a sudden the market's flooded. But I didn't spend that much money on it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, interesting. Do you know where the GameStop was? Do you remember? Not that it matters, but like
the one I went to
out of
was
curiosity.
in Vancouver.
Vancouver?
Yeah.
Not too far from there sometimes when I'm in Kelso. All right.
Yeah, no, you got to go to Double Jump when you're down there too.
Yeah, I'm going to check it out.
That's a cool store.
I'm going to check it out.
All right, James, on to your next one. He's dying.
I'm dying. All right, so my last but not least record.
Oh, he's doing an unboxing.
I'm doing an unboxing. I cut the tape so that I didn't have to do that while we recorded. But the first time I see this will be the first time Chris sees it. We're all going to see it for the first time here.
Yeah, because I'm going to record this and post it on Instagram.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
Trying to do a lot better about this.
All right, here we go. Here we go, people. This is a copy of Magical Quest featuring Mickey Mouse on vinyl. Now, this is a particularly rare video game vinyl. It is a bootleg, and it is a particularly hard to find. I mean, I've never personally seen someone put this for sale, and I've talked to plenty of people on the Discord and main Facebook where they said the same thing. I just put out an ISO. Remember we talked about ISOs, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, this is what I got. Look at the back here. You see the beanstalks in the clouds.
That's cool. And it's numbered up top too?
Oh, yes it is. Maybe I should hide that number. But yes.
Do I have to edit that out?
Maybe. We'll talk about that. Yeah, I was supposed to be discreet about the number because whoever had this first was not... it could be traced back to them, and I don't want to get them in trouble because that's the nature of the game, but it's okay. We'll figure that out later. But this is a Capcom hit, my friends. I've talked about it before. It is a platformer that I have a special fondness and nostalgia for. I think Chris probably played it too.
Yeah, I did. It's a great game.
It's got great music. It's just maybe I'm remembering it much more fondly than it actually was.
I don't think you are. I think it probably holds up.
But a lot of people really dig this. Some of the tracks: Capcom intro, title, introduction, map, treetops, dark forest, fire grotto, Pete's Peak, Emperor Pete. Better watch out. Snowy Valley. We got some boss music here. Pete's Castle. Final boss. Yeah, it's just like all the individual music tracks, which I can't imagine there's too many in this game. It wasn't a super long game, and there wasn't a lot of different levels. Yeah, if you look at the actual disc here, it's pretty cool. You can see that I think it's the castle, and you can see the shadowy silhouette of Emperor Pete right there on the inside.
That's cool.
On the record label, on the center label, I should say. So, yes, this is the first time I'm looking at it, people. I am very excited. It is very, very hard to find. The label that made it, well, it looks like they at least made a couple hundred copies, but not much more than that. And it has a little embossed individual number that identifies it on the top right, which we'll do our best to conceal for the safety of my friends online. But yes, it is really cool, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, dude, that's super cool. That art, man, it's just amazing to me that how they come up with these covers. It's so stunning.
Yeah, for those that they can't see on the cover, I'm sure Chris is going to share it, but it's Mickey on a hill overlooking a cloudy world with a big tree in the background. There's like a giant peach hanging from a beanstalk, because there is, I think that's one of the first, maybe that's the first level, is him jumping on beanstalks. But like, it's good.
So good.
Yeah, I'm really excited. This was the most expensive of the records that I got in my pickups by far.
Was that one alone more than my whole stack of games?
Probably.
Just say yes and we'll move on.
But I'd been looking for it for a while.
No,
and I didn't expect to get it as soon as I did, but I had one person who was looking to pay some bills, and he had the goods. So.
Yeah. No, it's hard. Like, I know they try not to sell them, but if you need money, you can't just not.
And yeah, money's tight for everyone, man. So I get it. Like, I'm just glad that it benefited me in this one instance. But yeah. So what am I moving on to next in terms of my vinyl ISOs? Probably, like I said, that one Breath of the Wild one. What else? I don't know. Oh, Live Alive.
Oh, yes.
Live Alive is definitely on my short list for sure too.
That'll be cool. I look forward to playing that one day.
Yes, but
did you finish it?
I'm very close. No, I've been distracted by other games. All of a sudden, I'm doing a very James thing. So what it means is I need to hit the brakes. I need to go back to Live Alive and finish it, because I'm literally right at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but don't do this. Don't do this to yourself.
I know. It's just a classic James mistake that I just do over and over again.
Well, I hope by the next episode you're showing us the live unboxing for Live Alive. Yeah. The Live Alive unboxing.
Here's to hoping.
Yeah.
That's a tough one to get to, from what I understand.
I don't know when our next collector's edition episode is. I need to check. But
yeah.
No, that's cool. I'm glad that you are knocking out the ones you want the most early on.
Yeah. My pickups in terms of vinyl has slowed down significantly, which I'm okay with, because I've got a lot of the ones I really wanted, and it's frankly a little too expensive to be picking them up all the time.
Yeah, I can only imagine. All right, so on to my last stack. I was actually going to add these with the Goodwill one, but I forgot, so I'm going to do it now. But Jasmine actually found these for me at a Value Village. Mm-hmm. So I posted this on Instagram.
Nice.
But they're these carrying cases that I have two of them, and they each come with 4 VHS tapes.
That's so cool.
Of the Pokemon. Did I say Pokemon yet? They're Pokemon carrying cases that come with 4 VHS tapes each from the show. It's super cool.
That's so cool. I didn't know that was a thing.
And guess how much these were, each one individually? Like, not the VHS tapes, but when Jasmine found them at Value Village, guess how much this was?
I'm going to say $10.
No, that would be fair, though. I'd pay $10 for it, easy. $1.
What?
Yeah. If you go to, and what's funny about that is if you go to Value Village and look at their VHS tapes, even just individual VHS tapes are usually at least $1 each.
Yeah.
And I don't know, a lot of times they overprice stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah, the fact that the carrying cases are intact and in generally pretty good shape, I think, that's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, each of them has one big slash on it, which sucks. But man, for $1, I mean, like I didn't even know these existed.
Like, yeah, they're intact though. Like
Yeah,
they're holding the VHS as intended.
yeah, they perfectly hold them, and like the tapes are all in really good shape. This is the other one. One has, they both have Pikachu on one side. One's orange, one's yellow. On one of them, on the other side, it's Pikachu laying on his back with a selection of other Pokemon kind of surrounding him on smaller portraits. And the other one I think is cooler because it's got the 3 starters and Pikachu in the center with some more different silhouettes of different Pokemon on the outside. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I think it's the first, I don't know this for a fact, but I think this one has the first 4 VHS tapes in it. The I Choose You Pikachu is definitely the first one.
That's the first one for sure. And Mount Moon, Cerulean City. Early,
the Sisters of Cerulean City, and Poke Friends. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it because I have a VHS player in my room and my CRT.
Man. Pop it in for background content.
That's what I usually do is I'll just play them while I'm... Oh, it's going to slip off.
Playing on your analog pocket or something.
Yeah. Or I'm playing something else. I'll just put it on and watch it in the background. So.
Nice.
So yeah, those are really cool. I was happy Jasmine caught those and bought them.
Sweet.
And then to finish up my pickups, these 3 were all eBay purchases. So like I said, my main focus on 360 purchases is RPGs. Mm-hmm. I want to get the exclusive RPGs that I've always wanted to play. So I picked up a couple. One was The Record of Agarist War. So fun story. This game, so it's an RPG. The whole premise of it is you kind of like, you get married, you have kids, and your kids take on, like, end up being the next lineage, and you kind of play through generations of the game. Mm-hmm. But this game, when it came out, I was still at GameStop when it came out, and it released in a collector's edition. It's a teen-rated game, but it was a very mature collector's edition because it came with a body pillowcase of one of the anime girls from the game.
One of the waifus.
And it also came with a mouse pad where this specific waifu's boobs are like a silicone section, place for you to hold your wrist. So the game always looked fun to me, but the collection edition was a little intense.
Oh boy.
This was just the game. I didn't buy all that stuff. But anyway, so yeah, I got that. It was only like $10.
At least it cared about your carpal tunnel syndrome.
Yeah, I thought it was nice of them. Mm-hmm. Like, they're just being concerned with the well-being of their players.
Yes. That's all.
Yeah, from carpal tunnel. Okay, and then these 2 were the 2 that I was really excited about. So this one I bought before we even recorded the episode. It just the Xbox 360 episode we did. It just hadn't come yet. And that's Magna Carta 2.
Ooh, I like that box art.
Yeah, it's really, really nice box art. Fun fact about this, the producer, director, and lead designer on this game, I meant to write his name down, but I forgot, and it'll take me too long to look it up. But he's also the producer, director, and lead designer on the recently released Stellar Blade that just came out. So he's
Speaking of boobs.
Yeah. All right. So he's Korean, very, very well renowned in, for his game creating, and very recently Yoko Tano of Nier fame, the creator of the Nier series, who is extremely well revered in the video game community.
Sure.
People almost worship the guy, because of how much he loves Nier, or how much they love Nier.
Sure.
Recently in an interview, he said it was giving that director, the man who directed Magna Carta 2, and then recently Stellar Blade, like heaping praise onto him. And he even said like Magna Carta is better than Nier. Like he was talking about how much he loves it and stuff. So
dang.
I don't know. So I'm glad I bought it when I did, because something like that could easily make the game pop up in value too.
Yeah.
So, and I definitely want to play it because I love RPGs. It's not like one of the most best reviewed games in the world, but it's right up my alley as far as like the style of gameplay that it is.
Yeah, I love it when developers shout out like other games that inspire them and they love. Like, I think that's so cool.
Oh yeah, that shows how much they aren't just in it. I mean, everybody's in it for the money to some extent, but they're not in it just for that. They're in it to make games. They already are gamers themselves.
Yeah, you often forget that, that a lot of them are just like us, and they have favorite games, and they have games they don't like, and
exactly
things that inspired them and moved them to develop the games that we all love.
Yep. No,
kind of cool.
Definitely a good point. I love it too. And then my last pickup, I mentioned it in the I've got my eye on you segment on the 360 episode, and that was that I wanted to get the Steelbook special edition of Tales of Vesperia on 360. And I got when we did that episode, I said it was averaging about $35. It wasn't that much. It quickly started going for like 60.
Oh my gosh.
But I got lucky and somebody posted this at like 35, like the old value. So I bought it right away. It's not in the absolute best condition. It's got a couple of dings on the back and it's got a couple of scratches on the front. But overall, basically I wanted to get it in case it does go crazy. I didn't want to take a chance. I still wanted to have it. And if, at some point I can do a condition upgrade in the future, I will.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think it's a really pretty steelbook.
It is.
It's very appealing. It also comes with 10th anniversary soundtrack to the Tales series, which has a bunch of music from the different games that had come out to this point.
That's cool.
And then
there's some video game music right there.
Yeah, right. I'm keeping it going, but
That's
with
right.
CDs.
That's right. Oh, hey, CDs work too, man.
So then it comes with a track list of what's on that CD, which also came with a
cool.
download code for the digital. But I assume either A, that's long since been used, or B, is expired.
Nice.
And then the manual is also specific to this edition and has a bunch of art in the back half for the 10th anniversary. It's got stuff from this game and then some stuff from some of the other games too. So
yeah.
Anyway, I love the Tales series. This is the one game in the Tales, not the one game. There's a few I haven't played, but this is one that I've always wanted to play. It's considered probably the best in the series. It's always been highly revered as the best in the series. And even though it's been released recently on PlayStation 4 and Switch and stuff, there's something about this version that I always wanted, but I never had a 360, that I felt like I wanted to get this version and play it how it was originally released.
That's really cool. And I imagine it's the only version that has the soundtrack packaged in, I would imagine.
Yeah, the standard release didn't come with any of that. Wasn't in the Steelbook, doesn't have the soundtrack.
Very like a Zelda team thing to do. Here's a CD with the music on it. Like,
yeah.
Nintendo wouldn't make it available to the masses, of course, because they don't do that stuff. But that is really cool, man. This is beautiful.
Yeah, no, I was super happy with that one. It'll probably be my last 360 purchase for a while, unless I stumble across things in the wild more affordably that I want, because things have just gone too crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've got a lot of stuff in this last month, but all of it was pretty cheap. So.
Yeah, for sure. That's the way to do it. And like you said, you're driving around a lot, and like I'd be doing the same thing. I'd go to the stores that I haven't been to before, the GameStops even, because they're stocking retro stuff now too. So it's like it's worth a look, even if you're just there for a couple minutes.
Yep, 100%. And like GameStop sucks for the most part, but you can still find deals. So
one day, not too far from now, we're probably gonna miss that GameStop isn't an option to stop by anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if things keep going the way they seem to be going, with all the stores seeming to get rid of more and more physical media. Okay, well, that's it for my pickups. I know James has one more, and this one is part of a special segment.
It's not breakfast hour. It's not happy hour.
It's may have been a little loud.
That's okay.
Sorry if I broke your eardrums, everybody.
I don't think it was loud enough.
Never.
So, Power Hour, my friends. We are starting off with Nintendo Power, as always, Volume 93. The cover is Mario Kart 64. And shout out to Jaden, and shout out to Collector's Haven. A little bit of a non-rhyme there. They both kind of hooked me up with this at a good price, so thanks, guys. On the front as well, on the cover, we got Mario in his cart, and is Luigi his little bro? Or, I mean, not physically little.
Yeah, it's his little bro.
His little bro.
Yeah.
His little bro is also in his green cart, and it looks like they're on Toad's Turnpike, from what I can tell from the art.
I mean, with the trucks there, yeah,
semi-trucks.
It's got to be.
Oh, and don't forget, we got ya boy in the back. I honestly just noticed this.
Is it Wario?
Wario he's coming right. He's probably got like a red shell or two that he's about to launch as soon as he gets past that semi-truck. Anyways, so this, like I said, was the February 1997 issue. Now, what do you think was going on around this time, 1997?
February? So the Nintendo 64 had been out for a few months now.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously Mario Kart's on the cover. That's coming out soon.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big release.
Mm-hmm.
February 97. Pokemon is out in Japan.
Yeah, you're right, actually. That's true, huh? Yeah, right about now.
Yeah, but it's not out in America yet.
No, it wouldn't be till next year, 1998.
So I'm sure the 64 rumors are flying high right now in that magazine or that issue.
Absolutely. So this is obviously, with Mario Kart 64 being the cover game, it wasn't out yet. Like you said, 64 had launched September 29th, 1996. So this is about the time this would have hit the presses. I'm trying to think. It would have been out 3 or 4 months. So I don't know if anyone remembers. It was really hard to get a 64. And I didn't have money to buy anything. But I remember the demand.
Yeah.
I remember how hard it was. I remember someone we knew at the time going to a graduation party, and they won. Not they didn't win. Everybody kind of pooled their money together, and they bought him a 64 at this graduation party, and he lost his mind. And everybody, there's a ton of people there that are like jealous that he had one because they didn't have one. That's the way it was. In the players poll section where people write in letters, to Nintendo Power, I thought this was kind of a funny entry from Adrian Laney of Jacksonville. He said, this was entitled "Stop Your Sobbing." I am sick of all the whining about the coverage of the N64, especially that letter in volume 89 saying they're not going to get the N64 until Christmas. 2 points. 1, if they want it so bad, why don't they earn or save up the money for it? I have a paper route and already have 2 games and the N64. 2, once they get the N64, all they'll be writing about is how they wish there were more N64 game coverage in their back issues. What I'm trying to say is, more N64 coverage! So this guy was being a little bit of a tool, honestly. Like, I have an N64, why does anyone else not have an N64? But, yeah, anyways.
He was just like, screw all you guys.
I feel like it was just like a little bit of check the temperature of what it was like for some people who really wanted an N64. I think we definitely had one at the time.
You did. Yeah, you guys got one at launch.
Yeah.
Because your dad brought home Mario 64 and Pilot Wings.
Yeah, for
sure.
sure.
And I came over that night, I think.
Why do I remember Wave Race 64 as having that like right off the bat too? I don't know if we had that or not, but like that was such a great game musically, visually at the time. Like it was it was a whole vibe. Wave Race 64.
The water effects in Wave Race 64 are still some of the best in like gaming.
Like there's something really nostalgic and wonderful about Wave Race 64, and just talking about it right now makes me want to get a vinyl for that game.
It's good music.
I'm sure there is one. So I'm gonna turn to page 32. This is a Star Wars episode after all, right? And the other thing I was gonna say is that just around this time, Star Wars was putting itself back on the map. January 31st, 1997, so either right when this was about to hit the press or right before, was when A New Hope re-hit the theaters. They relaunched the special edition. I think during that whole month from January 31st to March something, they released A New Hope, They released Empire Strikes Back, they released Return of the Jedi.
Trying to revitalize all of the hype for Star Wars before Episode 1.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly when people started knowing that Episode 1 was being worked on. I'm sure obviously it was at this point, but I don't know if the public knew much about it at this point. I really don't know.
I'm sure they did. Granted, once again, the internet was around, but like we didn't have as easy access to it. We were kids. But I remember, like, before Episode 1 came out, like, I had magazines, I had TV guides.
Yeah.
For any of you who don't know TV Guide, you're not missing much.
In a grocery store near you.
Yeah, man, like, I went all out on the episode. I was so stoked.
Man, yeah, there was a whole fat wave of merch that came with Episode 1. But on page 32, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire.
Very fitting.
Dark Horse comic strip.
Dude, that's cool.
Isn't that really cool? So I think this is the an end of the graphic novel that they released based on the game. Mm-hmm. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The game was based off the novel, or the novel was written based off the game?
It was all released at the same time to be part of a conglomeration they were trying to make a very successful Star Wars thing happen. Mm-hmm. They released the game, the book, the soundtrack, and like all the merch, the action figures and stuff, all at the same time to try to bring in attention to it.
Yeah, well,
so they were based off of each other.
Yeah, I'd say they succeeded, at least based on how my response was to it. Prince, I think it's Xizor, or is that? I know it's not
Xizor, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, who knows? I guess I'd have to read
Scizor.
I'd have to listen to the audio book version of the graphic novel if such a thing exists. But yeah, really cool. And it leads up to the beginning.
Too.
Yeah, Shadows of the Empire. was also an N64 game that was incredible, at least for us at the time.
Oh yeah, I still love that game.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I got a lot of love for it, and there's a lot of talk about it on here. I think that game had already come out at this point. I'm pretty sure, because on page 46 we have a feature, maybe not a feature, but an article on Star Wars: Shadows of the Empire, the N64 game, and it's talking about. This is basically a guide to getting all the challenge points. Now, if you guys remember playing this game, the challenge points were basically the collectathon like aspect of this game. There were little collectibles that looked like the Rebel Alliance icon. I don't know if there was the same amount in every level, but you collected them and they allowed you to unlock some things. So right here in the first paragraph, it says there are 4 codes we know of so far for Shadows of the Empire. To access them, you must complete the game and get all of the challenge points on each of the difficulty levels. If you beat the game on easy, you'll gain access to a 3D mapping device called the Lebo scanner. Beat it on medium, you can pilot an X-Wing or a TIE fighter in the final stage. Beat it on hard, you'll get a weapons and invincibility code. Beat it on Jedi, you'll be able to call a herd of friendly Wampas to help you.
let's go.
I mean, I think this game was hard enough to where I felt fortunate enough just to beat it on normal. I don't remember beating it in any harder difficulty, but I honestly didn't know that these codes existed or that the challenge points were the point behind them and to unlock them.
Yeah, they were. That was the point to get them, is because it unlocked a bunch of different, basically, hacks, like Game Shark type codes, which was cool.
Yeah. I do remember, though, hunting them still, even though I didn't know exactly.
And they're always hard to get, too. Like, almost all of them were either hidden behind some area where you didn't think to go, or you had to, like, do some work to get to it.
Yeah. So they literally have a guide on each level. Like, here, they have 12 guides, not just a list of 12 here for the level Ord Mantell Junkyard. So the one that culminates with you fighting IG-88.
Yeah.
In the junkyard. Man, that was terrifying.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I remember jumping from train to train, and there was all kinds of things. You'd have to die many times to catch some of these. You'd have to like jump over like gratings and like pipes as the train is moving. Like it was tricky. And the platforming in this game was not super smooth even then.
No, and it hasn't aged well. That'll be the one thing I have to say is no matter how much I love the game, the platforming hasn't aged well.
Yeah, that's fair. Yep. But yeah, that was a really beloved game for many, ourselves included, and it's fitting to talk.
It's one of my favorite 64 games.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much nostalgia for it. And that brings us to the poster. It is.
Oh, snap. Rip it out.
Oh, it's
GoldenEye. It's not Star Wars.
Yeah, it's not Star Wars. GoldenEye 007 coming soon to the N64
and it's
from
got
Nintendo.
Jean Grey on it.
Does it got Jean? Oh, it does got Jean Grey. Oh yeah, she's playing the part of a Russian. I wonder if she's actually Russian in real life.
Her name is Famke Janssen.
That sounds pretty Russian. Maybe she is. But yeah, there's your boy Pierce Brosnan and the Bond girls, and he's got a silencer on. I'm guessing it's a PP7. It looks like a PP7. Yeah. The poster's all right, but it's in great shape.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Perfect.
And then that brings us to page 66. You thought we were done with Star Wars? You were wrong.
Never. This is a Star Wars episode.
Yeah, it's a Star Wars episode.
What a lucky purchase, because I think when you got that magazine, you didn't know we were doing this episode.
No, I didn't. No. Jaden, this worked out to be very fortuitous. Thanks, bro. Star Wars Trilogy. So this is covering, first of all, A New Hope on the Game Boy. So we've talked about the trilogy having it had a trilogy itself of video games on the Super Nintendo, but it also did it have a trilogy on the Game Boy too? All 3 had games on the Game Boy.
Yeah, I never played any of them, but
I never played any of them either. But this one is covering the.
I think they had all 3 on the Game Gear too.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember playing a Star Wars game on Game Gear. I think it was based off of New Hope too.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as good as the Super Nintendo platformers.
I mean, it was on the Game Gear. It probably wouldn't be.
Yeah.
But the Super Nintendo ones were so perfect.
Yeah. But this covers, strangely, A New Hope on the Game Boy. It covers Empire Strikes Back on Super Nintendo and then Return of the Jedi on Super Nintendo.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, I guess, I don't know the release cadence, but it sure seems to me like A New Hope on Super Nintendo came out considerably well before these games came out. The sequels on Super Nintendo, I'm guessing.
Oh, it did, yeah. It was the earliest by far.
The only one I remember beating was Return of the Jedi. That's the only one I remember beating because...
For me, the New Hope is the only one I remember beating.
That's crazy because that one's... yeah, we've talked about it before, but it is... it has a reputation. It's infamous for being incredibly difficult. That brings us to page 84. Some of you are gonna like this. Some of you aren't gonna like this.
Oh no!
If you're a mole maniac,
Oh,
you're gonna love
yes.
it. We've got an article.
Oh man, I need this issue.
We've got an article about Mole Mania.
How was this not the cover article?
It just blows my mind that there was new Game Boy games coming out in 1997. You know what I'm saying? I always forget
Made
that.
by Shiggy himself.
Yeah, here it is. And you've got like basically
Dude, so good.
A little bit of a maybe a crude guide on how to beat some of the levels. 1, 2, 3, stage 4, stage 5. I mean, it's just so cool that you have these details if you want the help. Stage 8 with all pictures and arrows and
Dude, it's
lots
such a
of
good
details.
game. That is a game I need to have physically. It's getting more expensive though.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I shouldn't. It's so dumb because I have it digitally on my 3DS, but I liked it so much. I want it physically, so that I can play it physically and just own it. Anyway,
Well, for the Mole Maniacs out there,
there are two of us.
you were not ignored today. There are two of us.
Joel, you and I.
There are twos of us.
He converted me quickly.
Yeah. And then finally, I wanted to show this at the very back of the issue pretty much. It said 1.6 million and growing. Nintendo of America sold over 1.5 million Nintendo 64s in the first 3 months following the video game system's release in North America, and even then the demand outstripped the supply. If you haven't managed to find an N64 to call your own, don't despair. More N64s are arriving every day. With so many new N64 owners, the same type of supply and demand problem may arise when you try to find the most popular games, such as Super Mario 64, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, and Mario Kart 64. No one said it was going to be easy. They literally say that in the magazine.
Sorry,
no one
guys.
said it was going to be easy.
Who are you talking to?
I don't know if that's an apology or...
I don't know what it was.
I don't know what you call that exactly.
It was more like, shut up. We don't want to hear about it.
I just think it's so funny that even they address, like, we know it's rough out there.
Yeah.
We know you want one and you probably don't have
Oh
one.
man, if only that stayed that way.
You know,
Because the titles just didn't keep coming out, unfortunately.
no, I mean...
The third party.
yeah, I was going to say, big picture, the N64, I wouldn't call it a flop, but it wasn't anywhere...
As successful as it felt.
Except it felt really successful, and it had landmark games that literally moved gaming forward, right? Mario
Yeah.
64, Ocarina of Time, but I think...
GoldenEye, Smash Brothers.
Yeah, I think in the end... Yeah, exactly. It put like certain genres on the map in ways that others hadn't before. Like, yeah, because there were other first-person shooters before, but GoldenEye absolutely made FPS as a movement. You know?
Yeah, it made it a console mainstay going forward.
So
First-person shooter.
there were some individual incredible successes that live on to this day in their legacy, but like I think ultimately the 64 sold about 32 mil, 33 mil, something like that. It's like way down the list on best-selling consoles.
And it only had like 260 games that released for it. That's a rough number, but that's only 100 more than the Wii U, and the Wii U is considered a massive flop.
Yeah, this was the start of the Nintendo dominance no longer existing.
Yeah,
right.
But it didn't feel that way.
It didn't feel that way, and that's probably because I had a Nintendo
and I think even like the 6 or 7 games that we had kept us so busy. You know, the Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, GoldenEye. Like we played those games so much that it never felt like the console was struggling.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
No, good issue. Very, very well timed, even if it was not on purpose.
Yeah, and again, that was February '97. The special editions with the new CGI scenes that Lucas felt he had to include, that he felt he wasn't able to include when he first... there were scenes that he wanted to include in the first that he didn't have decisions on that got cut, right? That's what
like
the whole
the
point of
Jabba
this
scene. I think he cut it because he couldn't figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Which these CGI scenes have aged so poorly. I watched A New Hope the other day, and I was like, "Dang, that looks bad."
That Jabba looks terrible.
Yeah, and I love A New Hope. It's my favorite Star Wars movie. So, but
no, it's good stuff.
Star Wars was hype at this point, man. There was lots of good things down the pipeline, and Episode 1 was about to come in 2 years, which we loved.
I mean, I didn't literally. I mean, I could go on for hours, but I did not know probably for a solid 10 plus years after Episode 1 came out that people didn't like Episode 1. Yeah. Literally no idea.
Yeah. Dude, it was the first movie I remember going to many times or multiple times, right? Like, I adored it, and I'm going to go see it again next week as soon as I can.
Oh, heck yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I still love it.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
All right, let's move on. We're gonna go into our next segment now.
I've got my eye on you.
All right, James, what you got your eye on?
Well, I've got honestly, I've only got one, my friend.
Ooh,
But it's a very interesting one and a very exciting one for me. So I want to kind of like build up to it a little bit. I mean, it's probably not going to be that crazy or groundbreaking to anyone, and I'm sure you've even heard about it already. But so Hi-Fi Rush, we had heard about February 21st on X, aka Twitter, Twix as I like to call it. We've I'm trying to think. I think Hi-Fi Rush, their profile posted this. We've heard the crowd, and we're collaborating with Limited Run Games on physical editions of Hi-Fi Rush for Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5. So everybody was really excited about that. That was announced, and then very recently, April 22nd, a comment on that post from some rando said, any update on when this announcement is going to happen? I'm worried I'm going to miss the announcement and a copy. A general time frame would be nice, like summer or fall or in a couple months. And they responded immediately. Hi-Fi Rush, whoever's running the socials did. They said, trust us. You're not going to miss this. Make sure you're following us on your favorite social media platform as well as signing up for our newsletter. And then either very early this morning or late last night, it got out pretty quick on Twix that apparently a Nintendo Switch version of Hi-Fi Rush has been rated by the European ratings board PEGI. PEGI, the big numbers that you see on all the PALS copies of video games. So it is apparently we're getting a Switch version physical, and it's probably going to be an LRG one. And based on that, it's probably going to have some interesting additions, maybe even a soundtrack or a vinyl record.
Oh, that'd be cool.
There is I don't know. They're building up hype for it themselves, and this probably explains why there hasn't been an announcement or a sale or even a sale window.
They're trying to do something special.
Done by Limited Run Games. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it, and the way their verbiage is being used. So there is significant reason to believe it's coming to the Switch, and there's reason to believe it might get a special edition, which if it does, that is something I very much have my eye on.
Oh, yeah. No, that seems like a must. You loved that game.
That was a great game, man. It was one of a billion good games last year, but it was one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, I played it a little bit. It didn't click at the time, but I do want to try it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'll have to let us all know.
I do wonder how it'll run on the Switch because it was running at 60 obviously on Series X, and it will on PS5, I'm sure. And well, I'm not too worried about it because even if the performance on the Switch version is lesser, I imagine the Switch 2 will do wonders to it. And I'm sure you've heard the rumors too. The rumors now are that the Switch 2 is backwards compatible. That is the current rumors, if we're to believe them.
I sure hope so.
And so, yeah. That makes this and any other Switch games you're looking at even more appealing because you'll be able to play them.
Keep playing them.
Yep.
Dude, some people have built some massive libraries of Switch games.
Yeah. I would love to see someone go for the complete.
There are people doing it.
I'm sure there are. You got to be rich. There's so many freaking Switch games. Yeah. How do you pull that off?
Well, I mentioned Double Jump Games and Sick Cooper, who's the guy who owns the store. Mm-hmm. He on his YouTube channel, he talks about how he's going for a complete Switch set. Man, he says it's his favorite system of all time now. Like he loves it.
So, I don't blame anyone that makes that claim. It's an incredible system with an incredible library that's only growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. It's a great system.
I want to see the pictures. A picture wouldn't do it justice. You'd need like a 5-minute video to show that all the Switch games on a wall. Probably.
I think he did a video just recently of his Switch collection, so you should watch it.
I'm gonna check it out.
No, yeah, definitely. If you hear. Yeah. Or once you hear it, like let us all know.
I'm sure. I know there's a couple people. I know there's a couple people on the Discord that'll definitely be interested in this release. I know that's why I was holding out on. That's why I didn't get the physical Xbox
because you want it on Switch.
I suspected eventually it would get one, and this is honestly a lot sooner than I would have thought. So
yeah.
Well, not that we've had any official announcement, but there is.
But it's seeming that way.
Yeah, there's a very good.
Mills are turning.
Yes, right. That's right. So I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah. No, and if you ever want this kind of information, James is really good about posting it on the Discord. He's really good at being in the know on what's happening in the sales, and
Really good at spending way too much time on Twitter.
yeah, he's good at it, man. So join the Discord if you want to hear some of this stuff. Unless you're already good at paying attention to that stuff. I'm not. I hear about it from James usually. All right, so as far as what I've got my eye on, first I have a question for you, James.
Sure.
I was thinking about this today, actually. Have you ever played Punch-Out on the Wii?
I have not, actually.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was watching a video and somebody just bought it, and I was like, it looks like a fun game, but I'm not a huge Punch-Out guy. I didn't grow up
Yeah.
with it. I've only ever played Super Punch-Out at your house.
Makes me sound like a hypocrite because I definitely have claimed and consider myself a big Punch-Out fan, at least of the NES and the Super Nintendo one.
If I see a copy in the wild, do you want me to call you?
Yes, please.
Because I saw one. It was like $30.
Yeah.
I saw one at GameStop not that long ago, but I didn't even think about the fact that you might have wanted it.
I've heard it's not bad, too. Like, I've heard
No,
people
I've heard
actually
it's
really like
good.
it. Yeah.
There was a guy that I remember coming in and like all of his friends bought a copy of the game because they said it was the most fun drinking game they had.
Let's go.
Um,
It just seems... Yeah, I mean, this is a whole other subject, but, like, Punch-Out seems like such an underexplored franchise to me. Like,
yeah.
it seems like a game where they could take it, like, a very cool and different way, like, with a narrative and a story and, like, maybe other kinds of gameplay leading up to boxing matches, you know?
Yeah, I agree. There's so much they could do with it, and from what I hear, the Wii version is really fun, and they
Yeah.
actually added stuff to it. So you should play it.
I'm going to play it.
You need to play it and let us know.
You know what?
but
I'm going to put that on my I've Got My Eye on You just because you brought it up and just because I love the series so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I always like to find things that James can spend his money on.
And it gives me an excuse to, another reason to use my Wii U because I can play it on the Wii U.
Yeah. No, I definitely it just clicked today when I was watching somebody unbox it, or they had bought it, and whatever, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, has James played this? Like, I didn't remember you owning it, so
Yeah.
I was like, I have to ask. So I wrote it down in my I've Got My Eye on You so that I didn't forget to ask you because I figured I would.
One of the few Nintendo sports franchises, and it's just the entries have been so good. They're so iconic and memorable. The music's fun. Like,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Super Punch-Out's a blast. I've always sucked at it,
so
but it's fun.
much. I love it so much.
So I don't really have a lot that I have my eye on right now, like anything specific. So what I figured I would do instead of like talking about some new thing that I'm like looking forward to is just talk about one of the things I've never talked about that I want.
Okay.
I've constantly,
That's
not
fair.
constantly, I'm always looking for it, but I've never found the right price on it. And that's that and it fit the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that I really want to get one of the white Darth Vader Star Wars PSPs.
Nice.
The PSP 2000.
Nice.
I want to get it complete in box. They're not crazy expensive. They're like $150 to $200,
Mm-hmm.
but I want it in good condition. Because I'll probably just display it.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's one of my most wanted consoles because it's really clean,
Mm-hmm.
and the Darth Vader on the back is really nice, and the box is nice. So, I definitely have my eye on it. I almost bought one probably a year ago when I got back into PSP. Somebody had a lot listed, but it was $300 for the lot, but it was worth like the value equaled more than that. But I hemmed and hawed on it for too long, and it sold.
Sure.
But yeah, that's something I'm looking out for. So one of these days, I'll find the right price or the right deal in the right condition, and I'll pull the trigger.
Nice.
But as we'll talk about a little bit more, luckily, like Star Wars has a lot of popularity, but because of how much they put out there with a lot of the Star Wars stuff, it doesn't go skyrocket in value too often.
It's very the consumers are very saturated on the Star Wars front.
Yeah, for sure. So we're just going to go ahead and that's a good segue into the main topic. So obviously this week is basically Star Wars week, May 4th. As of the time of this recording, May the 4th is 3 or 4 days away. I'm recording earlier than normal. But that is, like I mentioned earlier, the national Star Wars holiday. You know, a lot of people will go to Star Wars events, watch Star Wars that day, huge Star Wars sales, usually announcements happen, new figures, new whatever are released around this time.
Yep.
So it's a big day for Star Wars fans. And last year I did a Star Wars episode this time, where we just talked about, because Jedi Survivor had just came out, we talked about that, some of our favorite Star Wars games memories. This year I figured why not do a collector's edition episode.
Let's do it.
So normally with collector's edition episodes, we focus more on like the value of a game and stuff, you know,
Rarity.
and the rarity of it. And that just with this topic would have been kind of boring, because nothing in the Star Wars realm is worth all that much. Most of it's not rare, like we already said. There are definitely some more uncommon games, but what we're going to instead talk about is 5 different Star Wars games that you may not have ever heard of, that you may not know existed. Obviously, everybody's heard of, Pod Racer on the 64 or Super Star Wars or the Knights of the Old Republic. Like everybody knows those games. Battlefront for sure. Like there's, even Force Unleashed. Like everybody knows about that. Well, not everybody, but most people. But there are some games that probably have slid under some people's radar, whether they're Star Wars fans or not. But before we get into that, I have a question for you, James.
What's the question?
We both obviously have a lot of Star Wars memorabilia in our possessions and our collections.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a favorite or couple favorite Star Wars items?
I sure do. So, first off, it might be my most valuable Star Wars collectible. It certainly was the most expensive to buy initially. At Disneyland, they sell these legacy lightsabers. And come on, who hasn't owned a lightsaber in some shape or form and fought with their friend or brother or parent or strangers? So they sell these high-end, really impressive legacy lightsabers, and I bought one maybe a couple years ago. I got the Luke Skywalker legacy lightsaber based off the Return of the Jedi. So it's the one that, R2-D2 launches into the sky with the epic music, and Luke catches it and then just ignites it. And that was the first lightsaber that I fell in love with. It was like...
Yeah, and the green.
Oh, the green.
So striking.
The hilt is beautiful and so like elegant looking and just shaped to me just like perfectly. Holding it isn't super comfortable, so I don't know how Luke did that without getting like blisters and stuff. But
his hands, a robot hand.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Did he have gloves on too? Who knows?
He did. Well, at least on the robot hand.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, just an iconic lightsaber from an iconic scene. Like growing up, ROTJ was probably my favorite Star Wars movie, and I don't know when it changed, but at some point it hopped over to A New Hope. I still love them both so much, but. Yeah, I have that lightsaber in a nice little case that it comes in, and you can buy the blade for it too and ignite it. And
super cool.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite Star Wars collectibles.
I was there when you bought it, wasn't I?
I think you were. Yeah, and you constructed one, a personal one there too, which is also really cool and a really cool like process. And
oh yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That was really cool to watch. But yeah, they've released like 40 of these, and they're always adding more as there's more characters and novels, comics, video games come out.
Some of them are so cool.
Yes, and they have a number of them have already been retired and like have become really valuable. Like remember when they did that collector's edition of Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and there was a Cal Kestis one.
Yeah, I wanted that one so bad.
I have great regrets of not buying that collector's edition because it's really, really hard to get now and much more valuable than it was. And and they never restocked it. It was only that through limited run games. I have some regrets, but anyways. Oh, there's a really cool one based off Ben Solo too. The flashback where from Last Jedi, which is infamous, but whatever. You see Ben Solo's original lightsaber before he turns to Kylo Ren.
Yeah,
they released a limited edition legacy lightsaber based on that.
That's cool.
So it's the one that he eventually like turned into the cross guard, and which became the iconic Kylo Ren. Anyways, that one's been retired too, and I had no idea it existed until I was looking this up earlier today. I was like, how did I miss that? That would have been great to get. You should check it out though. It's a really cool lightsaber.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah. So that's one of my favorites. Next up, I would say the limited run games Switch VHS set. I think we both have that entire set, but like I think it's really cool that we have the complete set so far. I'm glad there's only 3, so it seems like achievable.
It's an easier one to get,
and I know that it's going to keep growing. I think probably there's a Battlefront one coming because that was probably the most recent.
If it gets a physical version through limited run, that'll be how I'm sure they'll do another VHS.
They've all been convention or con exclusives, at least initially.
The Star Wars ones have been.
Yeah, so I'm kind of hoping for. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, those I really love those. Just aesthetically, they're cool. They're really cool. Not that I've displayed them yet, but they're really cool, and just a really cool presentation and a steelbook. As you know, we like those a little bit too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. And then I would say finally, my next most cherished Star Wars collectible, if you want to call it that, is I got a complete collection of Star Wars Legacy, the comic book series.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Individually, I think it's like 50 plus issues. So I don't know how valuable they are. Probably not that valuable, but for many people, it's one of the best comic book series that have ever been done based off Star Wars content. It would be not canon. It would have been, because this would have been before Disney took over and established their own canon. But it followed the story of Luke's grandson, Cade Skywalker, after he's like left for dead. And it follows the reemergence of the Sith under Darth Krayt, when they take over the new Jedi Temple. And it apparently this all takes place after the Yuuzhan Vong like invasion in the in the Legends timeline. But
I wish they would have touched on that.
And they may. Some of these characters have, if not, there's been characters that have been built like off them. Or I don't know. I would imagine some of these characters will be recreated. I remember specifically Darth Talon. Do you remember that? Like
super popular.
It's like visually, just you can't forget the image of her. She looks so striking, almost like a Twi'lek version of Darth Maul, but just like so cool.
Yeah, very menacing.
Yeah, and she was like a Sith, I guess, follower of Darth Krayt, who also like just I don't know, the writing was great.
Darth Krayt was great, and Darth Krayt goes back in the Legacy stuff. He goes back years.
Yeah.
into Legacy. It's pretty crazy.
I don't know for sure, but I think this was chronologically as far forward as it might have been, as far forward as Legends content or the canon,
as far as I know,
timeline ever went forward.
Yeah.
So it kind of like is the end cap for Legends content.
Which in theory, if they decide to go that far, should be the easiest to borrow from for content.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would highly recommend it for those that want to read a good Star Wars story. It's good stuff. It was, I think, one of the first comic book series I ever collected entirely. In its entirety, and it kind of got me back into buying comic books around this time, which was like 2006, 2007.
Yep, I remember.
That sent me down a whole rabbit hole. But like I have like a special sentimentality for it because of how it got me back into comics.
Yeah.
Even though I had been buying Spider-Man comics my whole life, still.
Yeah, but it got you back deep for a while.
Yeah, it did. It's yeah. Whether that was good or bad is a whole other question, but yeah.
It probably is what reignited your whole collecting bone.
It might have. Yeah, it might have. But yeah. Star Wars Legacy, really, really good comic book series, and I am confident that at some point Disney and Lucasfilm or LucasArts or the people there, the brain trust, they'll use some of the characters or at least inspired by them. I would imagine in the future.
Yeah, I hope so. It was too good to just let die. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't read all of Legacy, but I read quite a bit of it, and it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all good items. Yeah. Like for you, like your lightsaber too. Like you mentioned, the one that I made at Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland.
Yeah.
That was such a fun experience, and I have that displayed next to my TV in my game room.
Nice.
But like some of my favorite items, like I love the big box PC games.
Mm-hmm.
And I have about 5 of them that I've bought over the years. Most of them I got at the Star Wars store that used to be in Aberdeen. That's now gone.
Nice.
My favorite being Jedi Knight, Dark Forces 2. Mm-hmm. It's a big foil box with just a great picture on the front of Kyle Katarn.
Nice.
And it came with the Mysteries of the Sith expansion 2, which is where you play as Mara Jade. So that was really cool. I love all those big boxes. They're just super cool. They're fun to display.
Yeah.
And then a couple of my other favorite items I brought out here. These are ones I just think are really cool. Neither of them are like crazy expensive or crazy hard to get if you wanted to get them off eBay. Actually, I haven't looked at this in a while, but I assume it's not expensive. I just thought this was a cool item. I've talked about it on the podcast before, but it's a little mini Xbox One case that for Jedi Fallen Order that comes with a download code and a collectible coin inside. Mm-hmm. And it's such a random little thing. I love how it just looks like a mini Xbox One case.
It's so cute.
Yeah, it's just a cool little item.
I love it.
I'm pretty sure, I don't remember where I even heard about this because I didn't know it existed, but I want to say it was from the Bird Dog Gaming channel somewhere because I just thought it was super cool, and like as a Star Wars fan, it's so niche that I felt like I had to have it.
That's really cool.
And then I love this figure. I don't buy a ton of figures anymore, especially I don't buy as many Star Wars ones as I used to. Mm-hmm. But the Black Series figures are super nice.
Oh yeah,
and I'm a huge fan of obviously KOTOR games, mm-hmm. and specifically Revan. Mm-hmm. And this figure is of Jedi Knight Revan. And what I really liked about this for multiple reasons, one is I would have probably bought it anyway, but 2, it's based off of his design in the mobile game Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, mm-hmm. which I love crossover things of multiple things I love. So the main figures I ever buy of Star Wars are video game based ones, like Dash Rendar and
Dash
and
Rendar.
Bastila and stuff. But
Sure.
this was cool because I don't play a lot of phone games, but I have played Galaxy of Heroes since 2016 when it launched. I still play it. I ebb and flow as to how much I play it, but I just think it's a really cool figure. The box is pretty. I've never opened it. The figure's really cool. And I just love that it has that connection to this game that I enjoy as well, because it's a phone game, so it won't be around for forever.
Yeah.
And I've come to terms with that. I'm okay with it, but I like that. I mean, it talks about the fact that its design was taken from Galaxy of Heroes on the back.
Yeah.
So
It's clean, man. It looks really good.
Yeah.
I love the purple trim on the side of the box too.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a really nice
super nice figure.
presentation. Yeah, as you know, I went deep into action figures for a minute there too. Shortly after actually a couple different times when they did the 30th anniversary wave of action figures, those were really fun. And then post Force Awakens, I went on another stupid money spending spree on
Yeah, it was
just
easy to
merch.
do.
Yeah,
They put out mad amounts of merch for Force Awakens.
yeah.
So, yeah, we both have a lot of Star Wars items we love. I could go on and on just in the video games that I have.
Yeah, for sure.
But let's get into the main topic now, because we've gone on quite a bit already. So, like I said, we're going to talk about 5 Star Wars games that you may not know that existed, or maybe you forgot about them. We're not going to spend too much time on each of them, but we'll talk about them. Some of them, I even learned about some of these. Like, I knew they existed, but I learned more about them doing research for this episode. So the first one we're going to talk about, I'm going to let James talk about it a bit, but this is Star Wars Chess for the Sega CD. It's just for reference. It's about $40 on Complete in Box-ish. It's probably somewhat uncommon. I didn't look, but I just thought it was kind of cool that it was even on the Sega CD. But James, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
So it is exactly what it sounds like. It is Star Wars chess. So there is a light side and a dark side, just like on any chessboard. You'd see light pieces and you'd see dark pieces. Well, this time the pieces are characters, and they are fittingly light-sided characters, such as, Leia, Luke, Yoda. What's some other ones? Chewbacca.
Han.
Was Han there? Was Han one of the characters?
I don't know, actually.
R2-D2 were the pawns.
I took a picture.
Took a picture? I know R2-D2 were the pawns.
Let's see here.
Yeah.
C-3PO, R2-D2 were the
3PO.
pawns. Yeah, no Han. What a weird choice.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so needless to say, Leia was the queen, Luke was the king, so she'd be the most broken piece. And on the dark side, who were the pawns for the dark side?
Stormtroopers.
That makes sense. Well, I did think it was kind of funny that the queen was Vader and the king was Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
So like Vader would be like Queen V or something. I don't know.
Palpatine's like, you know who you are.
Get below me. Anyways, it's a very old looking Star Wars chess video game. There are some funny interactions when like you actually take pieces, like C-3PO, who is a bishop. There was a video of it taking Boba Fett, who was a knight, and the dialogue went something like this: "Stop, please. I'm not ready to die." Boba shoots and misses. "Oh, you beast! Give me that! Don't you know how dangerous these can be?" And he drops the gun on the ground, and it fires and kills Boba Fett. But somehow that was C-3PO taking the Boba Fett piece.
Yeah. It was pretty funny.
They're all like really kind of forced, but the interactions are kind of funny.
The C-3PO one seemed to be the funniest because there's one where when you fight a stormtrooper, the stormtrooper shoots and it shoots off his hand. And he goes, "Oh, how dare you!" And when he goes to pick it up, the next shot like ricochets off the wall and hits the stormtrooper.
Yeah. Yeah. I just thought the Boba Fett was kind of funny too, because he went out the same way he did in Return of the Jedi, like a baby back baby back Boba Fett. That's what I mean.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what that meant.
Yes. Another interaction I thought was really funny was the Yoda one when a stormtrooper when Yoda takes a stormtrooper, I'm trying to think here. Stormtroopers are pawns, right? And Yoda's a rook. And the stormtrooper aims at Yoda, and Yoda goes, "Backwards your gun is." "Yes." And so the stormtrooper aims back at itself and fires.
I did not see that.
And then it drops to the ground. It's so funny.
Yoda's evil, man.
Yeah, like he seems like so happy with himself. But Yeah, definitely comical to like watch this game in action. But I can imagine this would be a very slow and brutal game to play because like chess is already a slow game, and you don't want a chess game going slow.
Yeah,
and this like
if
literally
every scene, every takeover is
if every pawn that gets taken is like a 10 to 15 second clip, that's gonna get really annoying.
Yeah, but it's fun the first time.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Once you've seen all the interactions,
It's a game. Just as a Star Wars fan and as a collector, like I want it, but I don't have a Sega CD, so I would never be able to play it until I got one.
yeah,
But I just think it's a cool little item. Like this is out of all the Star Wars games, this is probably the one I had no idea existed until much more recently. Like it's so obscure.
yeah, I had no idea at all. But it's I'm glad that it exists, and it'd be kind of cool if it came in some form. I don't know how you do it or why you would do it, who would buy it, but
maybe it's on like on Steam or Good Old Games or something like that for PC.
yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Did so you didn't mention it, but did you see that there was an opening crawl?
Oh yeah, I saw it. Yeah. There was an opening crawl.
So I wrote it. I copied and pasted what it says.
Oh,
just
did
for
you
the
really?
heck of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
you got to read this.
So just for anybody, the opening crawl is, at the beginning of Star Wars when the letters start coming up that say, whatever it says.
Episode 1,
Yep.
Episode 2.
So for this one, it's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It is a time of great competition in the galaxy. An uneasy state of peace has been established between the weakened forces of the Galactic Empire and the growing Rebel Alliance. During this uncertain period of truce, the old adversaries settle their differences through the ancient, eternal game of chess. While their greatest heroes, as champions, the Empire and the Rebels fight battles of the mind. It is a new kind of warfare, one that will decide the fate of planets, civilization, and the future. So that's the crawl.
Very interesting.
Super strange.
So in a galaxy, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, chess came first, apparently.
Yep. That's where chess came from.
Yeah. Not hollow chess as seen in A New Hope, but chess.
Literal chess. Yeah, so very strange game, but it's definitely cool. And I have to imagine it's one that not many people knew existed.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right, so let's go on to the second game. I feel like this one maybe is a little bit more well-known, but still probably not as known as most Star Wars games.
And I know nothing about it, but I'm happy to hear all about it.
So this one was a PS1 title. It's Star Wars Masters of Terrakasi. Not a rare game by any means. There's plenty of copies on eBay.
Oh, wow.
It only goes for about $15. But it is a game that I bought a long time ago because I was like, this is super cool. It's a Star Wars fighting game. Definitely was made with the idea of like a fighting game like Tekken in a 3D arena type where you can kind of move back and forth. I guess what I mean is like around the arena, but still in straight lines. But overall, this game was terrible. It was not fun to play. I really wanted to like this game. For multiple reasons I'll get into in just a second, but it's just quite the gameplay is just not great, doesn't feel very intuitive, and is very stiff. And the looking up the reviews, they do mimic that too. The game is very sluggish and just not very fun.
Yeah.
But just to give a little bit of more information on it, the game has quite a few playable characters. It has the obvious ones: Luke, Leia, Han, Vader, Chewie, and Boba Fett. Then it has a couple more obscure ones, which I thought this was funny. It has Tusken Raider, a Gamorrean guard, and then unlockable character Princess Leia in her bikini.
Of course.
Yeah. And then the coolest, and the reason why I bought this game back in the 2000s when I bought it, was because one of the characters, I don't remember if she was unlockable or came unlocked, is Mara Jade. And I thought that was really cool because she's really big in the expanded universe, and I was really into the expanded universe at the time.
Sure.
I had been reading the books, so I was really, really excited about that and thought it was a no-brainer to buy. So just to give the plot for the game, it's not all that exciting. So Masters of Terrakasi takes place during The Empire Strikes Back. It's after the destruction of the Death Star. I got to put my glasses on because I'm an old man now. So the Emperor is seeking retaliation against Skywalker and the Rebel Alliance and recruits the services of the mysterious assassin Arden Lin to eliminate the Alliance's key leaders. Luke and the others discover the Empire's plot and challenge Arden face to face in the art of Terrakasi, an unarmed combat discipline. This pits the rebels in one-on-one fights against the Empire's elite warriors. So, yeah, nothing too crazy there. Interestingly, go ahead.
What an honorable way to settle differences.
Yeah, but apparently you could still use weapons. So,
So it was chess and Terrakasi. That was how differences were settled
Yeah.
in these versions of Star Wars.
they were really trying to figure out how to do this more peacefully.
Interesting.
So apparently, just a little bit more backstory. I didn't know this. So Terrakasi, I assumed it was made for this game. It was something they just created, but it actually comes from one of the West End Books pen and paper role-playing games.
Oh.
Steve Perry, who created quite a few of the other, who wrote some books and specifically wrote Shadows of the Empire, came up with the concept for the role-playing book. So that's where it originated. Then the creators of this game liked the idea of that, and they ran with it for the story, which is cool.
That is cool.
And just one more fact. Did you know it's mentioned in one of the canon Star Wars movies?
Terrakasi is? No.
Do you want to guess which one?
What would Terrakasi be mentioned in? A New Hope.
Nope.
Crap.
Solo. Kira mentions that she was trained in the arts of Terrakasi.
That makes more sense.
Yep. So one of the many reasons I love Solo when nobody else does.
Yeah, a throwback to like Star Wars pop culture makes more sense in the canon
Newer
movies. I don't know why I said A New Hope. That was stupid, but
I wasn't gonna call you out on it.
yeah,
But.
that was pretty good.
So anyway, the game is not a must-have, but if you want an obscure fighting game, I will say this: for $15, it's probably a fun game to pick up if you have a PlayStation ready to play it on, just to play with your friends, like just to give it a shot for the night, because it is 2-player. I mean, it looks good. Like if you look at the art on the back, it's not a bad-looking game visually for the time, especially. And like I said, the cast of characters is cool, but just not a great fighting game overall. So
Yeah,
so that was the second game.
very nice.
For the third game, this is not so much a game as much as it is a it's kind of a game. It's a little confusing, but I figured this is something that a lot of people probably don't know exists. And that would be, so on the GameCube, there was Star Wars Rebel Squadron, right? Which was the second Rogue Squadron game. I'm probably wrong. I don't remember what the name it was.
But it was Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2. That would have been.
Yeah. So, and then they did one more on the GameCube, which was Star Wars Rebel Strike. Everybody knows, well, most people know these games exist. But what not everybody knows is that as a pre-order bonus, when you would pre-order Rebel Strike, they would give you a preview disc that came out. So obviously this might seem like a weird random thing to mention, but the main thing that makes this cool is because it obviously, with the preview disc, it obviously had like a demo of the game, some behind the scenes stuff, trailers, concept art, stuff like that, cool things. But the de facto thing about this demo disc is it comes with the original Atari Star Wars game, playable on the disc.
Yeah, it is so cool.
So is that game very good by today's standards? No, probably not. But is it cool to actually own it in a way where you can play it pretty easily? Because, a lot of gamers, especially collectors, still have a GameCube.
Yeah.
Yes. I think
sure.
it's cool to have. And I have it. I have one here. I just thought it was too cool not to own as a Star Wars fan for myself. And it's far from rare. I kind of expected not to be able to find too many of them on eBay.
Yeah.
But there's quite a few on there. And it goes on average for $15, but I saw some less than that.
Yeah, I was gonna say also I just love that it acts as a demo but also has like a fully playable game included in it. Like it kind of reminds me weirdly of like Animal Crossing on GameCube when you could have NES games within a game even though it has nothing to do with that. But
no, I know what you mean though. It's that same bonus feeling where
we're really giving you something weird and quirky, but it's a game, and you can also demo the new game we want you to buy. But also included was a demo or I guess it was a trailer for a different game that was coming out soon on the GameCube too, right? Gladius, is that right?
Yeah, because it was a LucasArts game.
Yeah. So what kind of game was Gladius?
It was like an action RPG. You used to have it.
So there's a trailer for that game Gladius on here too, and I believe there was a trailer for Rogue Squadron 3 Rebel Strike as well as the demo that was included. But however, there was also initially intended a demo for this Gladius game. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
So
I didn't know that.
before release, this disc, this limited edition demo disc, basically, this disc was announced to have a playable demo of the then upcoming game Gladius. And while it was replaced by that trailer that we already know is on that demo disc, the full demo and all menu assets are actually still on the disc. So like if you have an emulator, you can still play the Gladius demo.
That's super random.
It's really weird, and I don't like how relevant is it to Star Wars? Not at all. But like, it's just funny that like the demo is still on that disc, even though you can't access it on your
we don't want
GameCube.
people to actually use that.
It's just weird how that all works.
Yeah, I don't understand all the behind the scenes stuff, which means when you spin the disc, it's still saying it's there, but they just took away the access to it. Then that's crazy.
Yeah, it's really weird.
I think that's cool.
But yeah, having that Atari game is really sick. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I just thought that was a cool, kind of fun thing, and I keep it on the shelf with my GameCube games. I don't like that on the side it doesn't have the GameCube thing here, so it kind of clashes a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. Huh?
But it's still.
Tell them what it says, Chris.
It says preview disc, not for resale.
That's right.
So I can't sell this to you guys.
Nope.
Don't even try.
Plenty of her on eBay.
I know what I have here.
Yeah, I got to get one of those, honestly, because I got a GameCube collection, and that just sounds really cool. And it's not, like you said, very, very obtainable.
Super cheap. Yeah. I just thought it was cool. And like I already said, it's not like it's a full game, really. The Atari game is a full game, but it's not like the rest of them. But I just assume most people don't know it existed. I didn't know it existed until...
Dude, I had no idea either.
Yeah.
And that game itself, Star Wars Rogue Squadron 3, Rebel Strike, which would... it is widely considered one of the best Star Wars video games, period.
So, and Rebel Strike is good, but the what's really cool about this, I don't know if you knew this, but Rogue Leader, that's the second game.
Is that the second game?
Yeah.
Rogue Leader?
So Rebel Strike comes with, on the disc, not this demo disc, but the actual release of Rebel Strike on the disc has the whole Rogue Leader game on there, built specifically to be played co-op.
What?
Yeah, it's a total must-own.
Dang, man.
Throwback for my friend Alex, Alex Stravaganza, who was on the last episode.
Yeah.
The first time we hung out as adults, he came over to my parents' house because we were kids still. We were adults, but like 18. He came over and we played that Rebel Leader, Rogue Leader 2-player mode on Rebel Strike.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah.
Talk about games too that were just excellent, like Star Wars video games, and that like they treated you like an adult. They were extremely difficult games.
Oh yeah,
but they were so fun too at the same time. Like, and so rewarding to beat some of those levels,
and lots of reasons to go back to the levels too to get the better medals and do the challenges and stuff. Super fun games.
Rightfully, there's a lot of people that are hoping for some kind of a spiritual successor to that, in Star Wars video game form. But
I agree.
It just doesn't seem like something that would appeal to a ton of people.
Well, they did do that Star Wars Squadrons game. Is it Squadrons? Whatever it was called. And that game was, very niche for sure. Like I tried to play it, and I love Star Wars, but I did not like the way it controlled. But some people really like it.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, number 4 on the list is Star Wars Episode 1: Obi-Wan's Adventure, which is a Game Boy Color game. So this one, just for a little bit of backstory, price-wise, it's about $25 loose and $80 if you wanted a complete in-box copy.
It's a pricey one.
It is. It's one of the more pricey Star Wars games, and also one of the more uncommon. There was probably about 20 or so loose copies on eBay, but I only saw 3 copies that were complete in box. So much more uncommon than any other Star Wars game that I looked up, which I didn't look up all of them. But
yeah, it is a Game Boy Color game, so it's not exactly super surprising, but because it's been a minute since there were any Game Boy Color games released. But so apparently this was a port of a then upcoming game, Star Wars Obi-Wan, which was planned to be released for the PC, but was later canceled and moved to the Xbox as an exclusive. I don't know if that game was particularly good either.
Not supposed to be. I've never played it. I have it, but I haven't played it.
But this was an isometric like action adventure game. Apparently it had some like side scrolling sections too. The plot is basically Episode 1. You're Obi-Wan and you're trying to liberate Naboo of the Trade Federation. With being held hostage and there was a Darth Maul and the gang.
All basic episode 1 stuff.
Yes. No, except no pod racing, I'm assuming, which is really sad.
No. How did they mess up that?
Because that was another video game that they had to sell.
I guess he wasn't there when they were pod racing, right?
That's true. That's too bad.
It's from his point of view. So, yeah, there's not a lot to say about this game. I watched a video on it. It looks okay. Like, as a Star Wars fan, like I'd like to play it. And it looked, because like you said, the isometric over the top kind of view. It wasn't the prettiest game, but it definitely looked like it could be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of a standard type of like action Game Boy game. Definitely not a lot to say about this one.
Yeah. But it's a Game Boy Color game, so would I want to have it if I could for cheap? Yeah, sure. Why not?
I almost bought this at Portland last year.
Oh, Retro Game Con?
Somebody, in the Portland Retro Game Expo, there was a copy, towards the end of the day, there was a copy sitting on a booth, and I was like, oh my gosh, but then it ended up being a repro box, and I was like...
Oh, could you tell immediately, or just...
No, it had a note on it.
Oh.
I couldn't...
At least they were upfront about it.
They put it there.
Yeah, that's nice.
But I almost bought it because I think the box is really cool. So, but I want the game too. But for a long time I've been working on a complete Star Wars game collection, but I do it very slowly and I get distracted all the time.
And there's like, based on a video I watched, there's at least like 60 of them. There is a lot of Star Wars video games,
and I have a lot of them, but there is a lot.
And hey, fun fact, and this is going to be probably pretty self-evident, but what movie do you think has the most Star Wars video games attached to it? Or stemming from it?
Episode 1.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, because the Racer, Battle for Naboo. Anyway, we could go on. There's a lot.
There's a lot.
The actual Episode 1 game, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, let's go to Game 5.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
There you go.
What, Chris Perry? You said Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is a common game. Everybody knows it. Yes, I did say that. But this is different. This is the Game Boy Color version.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got it.
Yep.
It's got the Rumble Pack?
It's got the Rumble Pack.
Let's go.
So I have it out here. I'll have to show James this video later. But, it's rumbling in my hands right now. I can feel a little rumbly.
It's so fun. Oh, let's go.
I may end up getting having to take this off if Disney ever hears that I put this on there. But
dude,
anyway,
that is fire, man. Talk about a Game Boy Color soundtrack needing a record right there.
Dude,
we need to press that.
Pressing it now.
Press it.
Super good sound in that game, and the rumble feature works pretty well.
Nice.
But anyway, it's Star Wars Pod Racer for the Game Boy Color. $15 loose, $50 complete in box. A handful of them on eBay. It's not super rare, not like the Obi-Wan game, or super uncommon. But most people have probably played Pod Racer on 64, and or I guess also on nowadays modern consoles or on Dreamcast back in the day. But it's a watered down version of that. What's cool is you can still pick from a lot of the cast of characters that were in the 64 game. Yeah, I turned it back on because I was going to go through the characters. So you have Anakin, Timo Pagales, I don't remember that guy, Mahonic, Gasgano. There's so many, like the cast of characters.
Is
like
Mars Guo on there?
Mars Guo was on here.
Yeah.
They brought just about everybody. Klieg Holdfast. Odie Mandrell. There's Mars Guo.
That's my boy.
My boy Ben Quadraneros.
Quadranera.
Oh, look, little Skywalker is stuck. And Quadraneros is having trouble too. But then Dud Bolt.
I'm betting heavily on Sebulba.
Rats Tyrell and Sebulba, the man himself.
Oh man!
So it's got the full cast of characters, or cast of racers, I guess. I don't know if it's missing anybody. There's some on here that I didn't remember from the 64. But then for planets, you can go to Tatooine, Ando Prime.
Let's go.
Baronda, Mon-Gaza, Malastare, and Malastare. Mm-hmm. So pretty good selection of levels. Each one has 2 sets of 4 stages that you can do. And as far as racing goes, it's actually pretty fun, if not a little simple.
Did I see that it was kind of... So it's top down, right?
It is top down.
Okay.
So you look... Yeah, basically you're looking above and you're racing forward. You have a health bar that, if you run into your opponents or run into the walls and stuff, you lose health and eventually you blow up.
Yeah.
But the whole goal, it's simple. It's a one-on-one race. You're just trying to stay in first.
Yeah.
Earlier races aren't too bad. You can make a lot of mistakes and still get first, but the further into the game you get, the harder it gets to continue at that pace. And the controls are pretty tight in it. That's one thing I noticed. Like, it gives you a notice that there's a turn coming up because it's a Game Boy game. You can't see that far ahead of you. They have to do that.
Yeah.
So you don't notice right away and you start doing the turn.
So it gives you like turn indicators on the top of the screen, right? Because you can't see in front of you, obviously. It's a top-down racer.
Exactly.
So you're kind of like racing blind, but it tells you when to turn kind of situation.
Yep. And but it plays pretty smoothly. It's a fun game. Like, for a Game Boy game, especially if like you're not a complete box collector and you just want a cartridge, $15 for a game with the Rumble too. That works pretty well.
Having the Rumble pack,
I think it's pretty cool.
I'm also draw to it.
I'm just fascinated with the fact that there was a series of games on the Game Boy Color that you put a AAA battery in and it had Rumble. Like Pokemon Pinball, obviously being the most well-known one.
Let's go.
But yeah, I think this is a fun game. Like, it's a Game Boy Color game. It's not going to blow away any expectations, I guess. But I keep it. It's one of the Game Boy Color games I keep out, kind of close to my analog pocket, so that I can pop it in and do a race here and there. Because it's just fun to play for a few minutes here and there, and the music is so good. Like,
dude, that was just that one track. Let's go.
Yeah, and the rest of the levels are pretty much silence with just the sounds of the engines. But I just love that they did the Duel of Fates in the oh my god, whatever it's called, chiptune type music.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Yep.
Some interesting games, man.
Yep. So there you have it. I would be curious to know, as you watch this episode, if there's any of these that you hadn't heard of. Any of these you've heard of and you've just always wanted and never been able to play. But as a recap, they were Star Wars Chess on the Sega CD, Star Wars Masters of Terrakasi on the PlayStation 1, the Rebel Strike preview disc for the GameCube, Star Wars Episode 1 Obi-Wan's Adventure for the Game Boy Color, and Star Wars Episode 1 Racer specifically for the Game Boy Color. So, yeah, like I said, let us know what your thoughts are on those games. If there's any you're excited to try to play now or any that you've played before in the past and already had a fondness for, I'd like to hear that. So, okay, so before we close up, we have one more thing to talk about, and that was we wanted to talk about 3 games that maybe... It could be anything. Games that we want to buy personally, games that we already own and we feel like other people should look out for, games that we feel might have the potential to become more expensive in the future. I told James I was leaving up to his discretion to choose how he came up with those 3 games, and I did the same. And I don't know what games he's going to mention yet, but I'm going to let him go ahead and go do his 3 first.
Okay. Well, I'm curious if this one's on your list. Star Wars Republic Commando? Not on your list?
It is not.
Okay, well, it is definitively on mine now. So this is a game, I think, originally that came out on the Xbox in 2005. I'm pretty sure it wasn't... No, I think it was on PC too, so it wasn't technically
Console
exclusive. Console exclusive. It was a tactical first-person shooter set during the Clone Wars. You are the leader of an elite squad of Republic commandos, as namely titled. It's a pretty short campaign from what I understand, like 8 to 10 hour campaign. Not multiplayer, this is a single player experience, but it is held in very high regard by people. Like you look at like ratings on Steam, it's like tens.
Oh, people love this game.
Yeah, and I'm kind of blown away that I've never heard of it before.
You never even heard of it?
Man, I probably heard of it. I definitely recognized the cover when I saw it. I was like, I've seen this before somewhere, or maybe you just reminded me of a similar Stormtrooper, Clone Trooper based video game or something, but it's got a stellar reputation. People say that so again, it's like a squad based shooter, right? You're not just on your own.
Yeah,
you're teaming up with your squad to play through the story and complete objectives, and apparently the AI is really, really good. They're not gonna like bog you down or like get in your way. They're very useful, helpful, and apparently they're really like likable. They've got like a camaraderie and just a likable characterization of them, kind of in the same way like the Clone War troopers, like like Rex and Fives and all the guys that are really likable in the Clone Wars.
Individuality.
Yeah, for sure. That's at least what it reminded me of. And it got a remaster very recently for the PS4 and the Switch. There is, in fact, a limited run version of this game, which I don't know what it sold for originally, but it's still very reasonable to get. Complete in box. I saw it for $25, $20. I don't know what it would be brand new, probably 50 or more, but like I wouldn't need that anyways. There's also a combo pack version that includes that remaster and Episode 1 Racer on the Switch. I think both developed by Aspyr, the same people that have done a lot of the LRG releases and
all the Star Wars re-releases.
Yeah. But anyways, I'm kind of blown away that I've never heard about how much this game is loved. And because of that, like now I really want it. Like it's the one game, I think it's the one thing I came away from preparing for this episode. I was like, man, I got to play this game.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not a huge time sink or commitment at all. 8 to 10 hours. And it's like, you know, it seems like it'd be a refreshing kind of game to play too. Not an RPG, which I've been
Very good change of pace.
Yeah.
It's and a
different kind of first person shooter too. Not like your
squad story
average,
based.
Yeah.
You know my friend Chris Hartford? He loves this game. He's loved it for years.
Oh, really?
And I do consider this game to be one of my gaming sins because as a Star Wars fan, there's no reason I haven't played it yet other than as a kid I didn't have an Xbox.
Yeah.
So I didn't have an easy way to play it.
And that's honestly probably one of the big reasons I haven't played it or heard much of it because you haven't played it, honestly.
Yeah, I guess that might be. So if you were to get it, you'd get it on Switch?
Yes.
I'm going to change things up here real quick.
Okay.
So I'm about to blow your mind.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Right. Well, you know something I don't know here.
I do. So, obviously, you said there was a physical release of it standalone.
Yeah.
And then there was a physical release that came bundled with
Yeah.
Episode 1.
Yeah.
Well, just in the last few months, have you heard of the Star Wars Heritage Pack?
No.
So, this is a Switch exclusive release.
What?
It's right now. So, anybody listening, and I'm posting this episode early almost specifically because of this. Right now, if you go to GameStop, it's on sale. It's normally $60. It's only $40. And this is the whole Aspyr collection. So this includes Force Unleashed, Jedi Outcast, so Star Wars Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast, which is Dark Forces 3.
Yeah.
Star Wars Jedi Academy, which is Jedi the last game in the Dark Forces / Jedi Knight series. And Republic Commando, all on cartridge. And then it also comes with download codes for KOTOR 1 and 2, which that part sucks, is that they're not also on the cartridge.
Yeah.
But you get 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, and Episode 1 Racer, I forgot.
Man.
5 games on cartridge. And then the 2 KOTOR games as well, which you own both physically anyway on the Switch already.
But I could play them now this way, not have to open up my VHS.
So this, to me, is probably... This wasn't my first one I was going to talk about, but you bringing that up, and I also cut you off because I said just do all 3, but this made me change my mind.
No, this is a good transition. This makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So this, to me, is like... For a Star Wars fan and a Switch collector, a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer purchase.
Yeah.
And $40 right now at GameStop, if you can find one that has it, like that's a steal. You're paying, that's $7 a game basically.
And this might explain why the LRG version and the combo pack with Episode 1 Racer was so reasonable. I was trying to figure it out. I was like, how can a game this popular that had an LRG release, has multiple releases, how can it be so cheap? That's probably one of the reasons.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it might be. I know because that combo pack was a retail release, the one that came with Episode 1 and Republic Commando. So it had a much bigger release than the LRG one. But I think that brought down the price of the LRG release.
Yeah.
But this will be, I mean, I can't predict the future, but if I was to assume, this will be the de facto one to own on the console. This will be the one because it's such a good, this is a stellar collection.
Heritage Pack? Is that what it's called?
Star Wars Heritage Pack.
Star Wars Heritage Pack.
The cover is kind of convoluted because it says Star Wars Heritage Pack and then it has a little strip for each one of the games surrounding that.
And it's a Nintendo Switch exclusive.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. All right, I got my eye on you, Heritage Pack.
You're welcome, James. It's 2 games I added to your I got my eye on you list.
Yeah,
today.
you sure did, man. That's a great deal. 40. All right.
Yep.
That's
So anybody who has any interest, keep that in mind. $40 at GameStop right now.
Yeah.
All right, James, go ahead and now you can finish
Locked
up your
and
list.
loaded. So these will be some quick hitters, or at least the second one is for sure. Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith. It is on Game Boy Advance and DS. I'd go for Game Boy Advance because I like the Game Boy Advance box more. And I think it's more expensive too. I think $50 or $60 or something complete in box. From what I saw. It's not a game I was super aware of before this, but I was watching a couple videos on like there's a lot of rankings of like what the best Star Wars video games ever made have been, because it's just a fun list to listen to and to create your own of. And this was pretty high on a couple people's lists, and I was like surprised they'd never heard about this one either. And especially for it to be a game that was like kind of like just a chintzy looking.
It's a movie tie-in title.
A movie tie-in title, and it looked like, to me, from my eyes, it looked like a beat 'em up kind of sorta. It was an action game for sure, and it was not top down. It wasn't exactly side scrolling either. So it reminded me of like Turtles in Time, but like a Star Wars version of that.
Side half view.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't even know. I doubt it would classify as a beat 'em up. Maybe it would, but it looked that way to me. So that already is a little bit of a draw for me. And I don't have any games based off Revenge of the Sith at all, and it's just unique because there were so many for Episode 1 and plenty for Episode 2, surprisingly. But I don't remember many for Revenge of the Sith.
Just this one, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And 2, like, I always thought it was cool. I don't know how similar the Game Boy Advance and the DS versions of the game are.
Yeah.
But they're completely different from the console versions.
Mm-hmm.
The Xbox and PS2 version of the game is completely different, very 3D, very, story focused based off the story. But cool thing about those games, just sidetracking a little bit, is they have an alternate ending, like a what if, I guess, if Anakin won, that you can play out. And I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, that is really cool, man. So were these on your list at all?
These aren't on my list specifically, but I don't own them and I want them.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
that was my number 2.
I agree. Well, my number 2, this is one that I do want because I've never owned it, but I used to rent it when I was a wee lad, and that is Star Wars Demolition. Are you familiar with this game?
I saw it in that video. I'd never heard of it before today when I was watching the video.
So it's it's made by the team who made Vigilante 8 and Vigilante 8 Second Offense.
I remember those.
So it's a Twisted Metal clone.
Okay.
Set in the Star Wars universe.
That's cool.
So it's a cheaper game, only $15 on PS1, and it's $20 on Dreamcast. If I was to buy it, I'd get it on Dreamcast because that version supports up to 4 players. Otherwise, they're basically the same game. So just the little story, backstory here. The Empire has declared a ban on Jabba's beloved sport of pod racing. To replace that lucrative enterprise, he creates a more life-threatening contest where combatants fight to the death in or on vehicles.
Nice.
So, I remember renting this game a couple times when I was a kid, and I loved it. I thought it was super cool, but I also already liked Twisted Metal.
Yeah.
So,
what platform is this on again?
PS1 and Dreamcast.
Okay.
So it's a super good transition. It plays. I mean, the reviews for it weren't very good when it came out, but like the reviews from like fans now, people like have a lot of fondness for this game now, and they say that it's actually really good.
Yeah.
And just like a couple other things, some of the characters / vehicles include Malakili on his Rancor, from Return of the Jedi, the Rancor trainer.
Sure.
Or a Sing on a swoop bike. Boba Fett using nothing but his jetpack, and it even has Lobot in a cloud car. I almost said clown car.
Yeah.
And then stages that include Tatooine, Naboo, Cloud City, and this one was my favorite, Death Star 2. Because somehow they all got their vehicles on the Death Star 2 before it exploded and did a quick battle.
Heck yeah.
So, I don't have this game. I want this game. I feel like if you're a fan of Twisted Metal or that style of game and you've never played this, like this is probably for you.
Very unique.
Yeah. So it's a fun game. It has a couple different gameplay modes. The obvious, you can do just a straight versus. You can do the story mode. You can do a robot hunt one where your goal is to destroy as many probe droids as you can before the level ends. And then there's like a bounty one where you have to destroy certain vehicles before your time runs out or before your money runs out or something like that. So anyway, I need to get that game because I've loved it. I always loved it and I've never owned it. So what's your last one, James?
My last one is an obvious, not surprised at all. I've beat this into the ground even on this podcast, but guys, the trilogy of Star Wars titles on SNES are incredible games. They're really, really good. They're really, really hard, especially the first and the second, but my goodness, even to this day, like the controls are tight, the music's good, the levels are a challenge. There's fun little secrets and nooks and crannies to find. There's lightsabers, there's blasters, there's some spacecraft, flying around and ships levels. And they're all really affordable for games that are on
Yeah.
Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And not available on any other system as far as I'm aware, like to purchase physically, especially.
Not that I'm aware of.
I think there should be some kind of a collection made because of how good they are, and they constantly crack the top 10 or top 20s of the best Star Wars video games. Are always on those lists.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
They're that good.
They're hard as nails, but man, they're fantastic.
Yes, they really, really are. Memorable, fun, just a good time, and very Star Wars. Like, I can't recommend them enough. I personally want to get A New Hope because it's the one I have the most nostalgia for, but I want them all.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you. I have them all. So it's the only reason they're not on my list.
I think you can get them CIB for like 30.
Yeah, they're not
like
that
maybe
expensive.
even less.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
It's
piece.
surprising how cheap they are. I bought them years ago, probably around 2010. I decided I wanted to get them all, and I think I only ended up paying like $10 a piece for them back
Yeah.
then. But
So, on top of all that, they serve as really cool display pieces because they're basically the art from the
Yeah.
movie posters.
they're super nice.
They're really cool.
Yeah, and they're just great games, like James said.
Like, they're really good games. Yeah.
That's your Portland Retro Gaming Expo.
Yeah, that
in search of.
I'm gonna be searching for some of those. I'm gonna be searching for some King Griffey Jr. titles. Yeah, I've already got some easy hitters right off the bat. I'll be searching for.
I don't remember if I said this on the last episode, but for those local, there is going to be a game expo in Renton this in May, the end of May, and it's been around for a couple of years and it's getting bigger. And I'm thinking about trying to go because I think it would be fun to just go to a smaller one, but still has a lot of options and hopefully some good prices still. And it's close, so we don't have to worry about traveling too
Not a
far.
big time sink, that's for sure.
So yeah, if anybody has any interest in going and you're in the area, or I guess want to travel to the area, I wouldn't for this expo probably, but hit me up. I'd like to go.
Very nice.
Okay, my last one. This one is Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, but not the base game. Specifically, the Ultimate Sith Edition. So for anybody who possibly didn't know it existed, what this was after the game had been out for I don't know, a year or two, all the DLC had come out for the game. And they released this version that came with all the DLC on the disc. Came in a steelbook. That's a very nice looking steelbook with Starkiller in his Sith outfit from the end of from one of the DLCs actually. Also came with a manual, and it came with each copy of the game came with a collectible card that was not like a normal trading card size. It was a bigger like art piece card, I guess.
Nice.
And each one, and that was a random chance to be 1 in 9 different cards that you could get. So anyway, this version it's on PS3 and on 360. It only goes for about $40. So it's still pretty cheap. And I feel like if anybody had any interest in playing this game, this is still the definitive way to play the game. The Wii version was not great.
Yeah.
And that's the version that they ported to Switch. So that's not it doesn't mean you can't play that version, but it's not the best version of the game. It has some really weird controls, and the graphics are not. Yeah, none of them have fantastic graphics by today's standards, but they look a lot better than the Wii version. But the DLC for this game was also really good, really good DLC. It was very alternate ending type stuff. Like they had DLC that took place in A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi time periods.
Yeah,
as if Starkiller was still alive at that time. So really cool DLC. This is just. It's kind of like I can't imagine there was that many of this game that sold. Like it seems like a good deal still at $40. This is the way to play this game.
nice.
So something to keep your eye on if you don't have it already. I do have this. I've had it for a long time, but I wanted to bring it to people's attention if they weren't aware of it.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah. So that's it. Star Wars week. We had to do a Star Wars episode.
Just keep it going. 2 years running.
2 years.
What
running.
you gonna do next year, man?
I have no idea. This came to me just in time to make sure I did an episode.
Yeah, no, it was fun, man.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anybody has any ideas for a Star Wars episode next year, let me know. I always down to talk about Star Wars. Not that I can't do more than one a year, but it makes sense to try to save them for this time of year. But yeah, we're at 2 hours 20 minutes, so it's a good time to wrap it up. Any final thoughts?
Now that's what I call podcasting.
Oh yes, little Annie. Now this is
I don't got any
podcasting.
thoughts, man. Like Star Wars rules, like it always will. Like
I love it.
drown out the haters, man. They're everywhere. Just love Star Wars, whatever it is, and everything that it is.
I think we can agree on. I just wish people weren't so negative when they don't like something. Okay, I don't care about that actually. I wish people would just let everybody like what they like.
For sure.
But what we can agree on, it's just about everybody loves some aspect of Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
And like I think the games have always kind of brought a little bit of unity to that. You know, even the people who didn't necessarily like the prequels, and even the people who don't necessarily like the sequels, still tend to like some of the games.
Oh yeah.
You know, especially the older ones, but even some of the newer ones.
Yeah, for sure.
Why can't we all just get along?
I don't know, man.
So no, that's a great series. So yeah, please, if you listen to this and you have any thoughts, like share your favorite Star Wars games on the Discord or on Instagram. Like, love to hear it. I can always talk about Star Wars.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, other than that, we're gonna go ahead and close it up. So. If you don't already, make sure you follow me on Instagram or on X. I'm trying to be more active, especially on X. I've realized it's a little easier to post on there. It's a little less pressure, so I'm trying to do better at it. But yeah, and if wherever you listen to the podcast, please subscribe and heart it, like it, whatever you call it. Yeah, remember to always press X to continue, and may the Force be with you always.
I've got my eye. 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 I've got my eye on you.